You're watching the Y2K show, where they play my kind of videos.
Party won't wait, running through these lights at a NASCAR pace. Under city lights with some stunners on my face. I'm on tonight, feeling as fresh as my paint. Fresh candy paint on the flying through your city, what's up? I'm on tonight, riding through those city lights. Fresh candy
Quiet on the set.
I'm on tonight, vibing in those city lights. Fresh candy paint on the city with a hottie up. I'm on tonight, vibing in the city lights. Fresh candy paint on the
Quiet on the set.
Soy Roberto, El Favorito Gringo, mi pelo es blanco, hecho en San Mateo. Dime cuando ven a México, soy una California oso, más grande de mis sueños. Es un nuevo año, nuevo tiempo, no ratos or latas, no preguntas, preguntas menso. Inteligente pero soy poco loco, fiestas.
Thank you for watching the Y2K show.
Still rolling, smelling like a skunk cause the bleach still going.
It's your Big Papa Will. I got an exciting two-part show for you tonight. First of all, I want to thank everyone that appreciate the history classes that I do, because I sure appreciate finding this information. Man, I would be laying some hardcore truths on you guys if I hadn't found this information to share with you also. So what's going to happen here tonight is that we're going to start this new show about the ancient so-called Egyptians. Historically, they came from America. Now, I know that's going to be a hard one for everybody to take. The Egyptians come from America too. Man, is Papa Will just crazy? He thinks that everything evolved around America. You know, I would think that too. It goes through my head. Yeah, I think that way too. You know, when I'm looking at all this new information, and they start talking about the old world and passages and how so many Native Americans were taken from America as slaves to foreign countries, and how we had Jacobites, Sinites, Bentites. Oh man, we had Muslims and Jews from wherever their ancestry was come to America and create all kinds of activity, and Native Americans fighting against Native Americans. All this stuff that we had never heard of before. Now we're finding out it to be true. Okay, so that's first half what I'm going to do. And so also I've been out searching for music that I could play, you know, old school music, you know, so it's just not my hip hop, you know. I know it's strange. A person my age that's into hip hop. Yeah, I know. But I'm one of those kind of guys, you know, that my son grew up being a hip hop artist. And as he got better, I got more involved to the point where I became known as the godfather of gangster rap in Northern California. Also carry the title of the largest live local entertainment company in the history of the West Coast. And I was already in my 50s when I did that. But my 30s and 40s was full of action too. My 20s was even full of action. You know, I had a reputation for doing big shows when I was in college the first time. And then when I got out the service, I got even bigger. One time I did a show, man. I had a battle of the DJs. I had a black guy with the rock music and a white guy with the R&B. And man, we turned that place out. We did shows so big there that I had to go find somewhere off campus because we were too big. So anyway, that's a little bit of my history. I always like to share. And I'm going to start out with like 30 minutes of this new work I found courtesy of Kumero Awa. That's with my Native American accent, Kuameyo. So you have to excuse me. You know, I mispronounce words and names sometimes. But Kuameyo Awa, I want to thank him. Fair use of providing us with this opportunity to share this important information that everybody appreciates knowing, right? So generally, you know, I kind of wait, get a few people in here, but I see 4 comments. I'm in the back room, so if you're talking to me, you're gonna have to hold that thought until I can get out in the front room, right? And I want to welcome everybody to the Y2K show. Also, like I've been mentioning for the last week or two, I'm on the road to achieve the goal of 400 subscribers. So please like, share, subscribe, watch the replay, leave a message, or hit me in my communities, and just share this. So I want to get back here with the fair use. We're using this for news reporting, teaching, and education. So here we go. Let me get this all lined up. Let me stop the background music because he generally has his own background music. So let me stop mine and let me load up the video, and we will be up on it and on our way.
Today, we're just going to read quickly from this book. It's called Egyptian Visits to America. All right, so remember, ancient Egypt was in America, so they're seeing it in reverse. They're finding all these similarities to ancient Egypt. That's because it was in America. So that's the hijack with that. You guys already know, especially those who have been following me for a while. So again, Egyptian Visits to America, some curious evidence discovered by O. Louis Tice. This is from 1922. It's showing the stela here, this Maya monument, obelisk stela. As I have recently made a remarkable discovery of general interest, I take pleasure in making a preliminary announcement. Egypt and Yucatan were in close communication long before our era. From several indications, it appears that the Egyptians visited America about 3000 BC, and also that they established a colony. In this brief article, the evidence is brought out in the following order. The Egyptians knew of the existence of the American continent. They possessed vessels able to cross the Atlantic. The legends of the Maya Indians assert that their culture came to them across the ocean from the east. The ruins in Yucatan resemble the early Egyptian architecture. A large statue discovered in Mexico in 1839 is apparently of Egyptian design. The ancient Mayas greatly resembled the Egyptians in both physique and character. The language of the modern Maya Indians contains several hundred recognizable Egyptian words. The hieroglyphic alphabet of the ancient Mayas, as crudely recorded by Diego de Landa in 1565, contained at least 12 letters expressing the same sound for the same thought as the Egyptian. A more careful study of both alphabets shows the certain identity of several letters. It is even possible to read a few words of the hitherto undecipherable Mayan hieroglyphics by spelling them out directly in Egyptian. All right, sort of like what Lepler Jones did. The philosopher Plato, in his story of the lost Atlantis, mentions the fact that an Egyptian priest told Solon of the existence of America. All right, of the existence of America. When they're talking about Atlantis, they meant America. It's telling you right here. In those days, the Atlantic was navigable. For this sea, which within the Straits of Heracles is only a harbor, having a narrow entrance, but that other is a real sea, and the surrounding land may be most truly called a continent. The Egyptians had many vessels of considerable size, though not particularly seaworthy. Senefru, a near predecessor of Cheops, who built the Great Pyramid, is said to have had a vessel of great length on the Nile over 2,000 years before the time of the Greeks. All right, so remember, Dr. Hijack, ancient Egypt was over here. Many of the Egyptian ships of 3000 BC were large and of better lines than the tiny caravels of Columbus. The Pinta was about of only 50 tons and the Nina 40 tons, and they carried only 18 men apiece. The Egyptian vessels were not only longer, but were often equipped with special oars as well as sails. They could be helped along by the occasional rowing of 30 to 40 men. On war vessels, even 50 to 60 men. There is a steady trade wind that blows from Canary Islands to the West Indies from July to September, and a steady current in the same direction besides. All right, so Dodge the Hijack again, we've done the videos. We've shown how it's 4 times harder coming from that side over to this side. The currents are stronger, the winds are stronger going from here over to Europe, over to Africa. This part of the Atlantic Ocean is less stormy than the Mediterranean Sea. Columbus made the trip in 5 weeks, and the Egyptians, if they tried, were undoubtedly able to make it in less. All right, so again, they're seeing it in reverse. So just remember that this is what I was talking about. The Egyptians frequently sailed along the coast of the Mediterranean and occasionally visited countries now unknown. Although their ancient names, such as Maha, Au, Mahi, and others, are mentioned on the monuments, they were relatively more of a seafaring people during the Old Empire than later, when their center of population had moved further inland. When the Spaniards first settled in Mexico, the Maya Indians of Yucatan told them that, according to their ancient traditions, their own ancestors had come across the ocean from the east and the west very long ago. According to their legends, Itzamna or Samna, their rain god and founder of their civilization, usually represented as a feathered serpent, was a child of a divinity named Hunapku and had come to them from across the sea. But neither the Indians nor the Spaniards realized at the time that the long vanished race in Egypt had also originally worshipped a rain god, represented as a plum serpent and called the child of Hanebu, which is merely an extremely old name for the Mediterranean Sea. All right, again, ancient Egypt was here, that's why. The ruins in Yucatan. The Spaniards were greatly impressed with the wonderful cities and striking monuments in Mexico, and all their historians repeatedly mention the fine buildings and remarkable temples. Unfortunately, the Indian civilization was retrograding at the time. Several large cities were in ruins, and those containing the finest buildings had evidently been crumbling for several hundred years at the time of the Spanish conquest. The type of architecture somewhat resembled the ancient Egyptian. The important buildings were usually constructed of cut stone or of rubble masonry faced with stone and were generally rectangular in outline and massive in effect. There were also many pyramids, some of them very large, though naturally less expensive in construction than the Egyptian, usually built of earth and rock with a facing of cut stone. A few, however, were built of solid brick and a few in step form, as were the early Egyptian. The early Egyptians, right? The early, but not the later Egyptians. The early built like the Mayas. That's because they were from here. Mayan temples and altars were frequently erected on the tops of truncated pyramids. The buildings were often elaborately and beautifully decorated, the style sometimes resembling the Egyptian, sometimes showing what may be an Asiatic influence, and in more recent ruins tending to the bizarre and grotesque. Again, America's a true old world. They resemble us. The statue found at Palenque. A few of the statues and paintings are Egyptian in type. The large statue discovered by Mr. John L. Stevens at Palenque, Yucatan in 1839 is quite in the Egyptian style. It is undoubtedly very old, yet may be a copy of a still older original. I recognize the device in the figure's right hand as a conventional Egyptian representation of a trot board called men. the special personal mark of King Mene, who founded the empire of Egypt. You guys hear that? By joining the upper and lower kingdoms about 3500 BC, or possibly earlier. He was called Aha or Ahu by the Egyptian people, and Ahau, like Kurimeo Ahau, is even now the Mayan Indian word for king. All right, you see, it's the same because ancient Egypt was here, guys, and the king's left hand is a staff of authority, such as was frequently used in Egypt instead of a scepter. The headdress, although extreme in size, is Egyptian in type. It represents the kas or crown of foreign lands, often associated with King Mene. He is portrayed as stocky and broad-shouldered with a short, straight nose, firm jaw, and broad forehead, known by Egyptologists to have been characteristic of the early rulers of Egypt. Below the figure is a frame or cartouche such as was ordinarily employed in Egypt to surround the king's name. On the left is a sign which may either be read as the Mayan numeral 8 or as the Egyptian sign for land, set up vertically. All right, and this is what they're talking about. And again, they found this in America. Remember, they're saying this is clearly Egyptian style, but they're seeing it in reverse, okay?
Did you know that you could get $50 to over $150,000 of investment capital at 0?
We're gonna look at the whole statue here. Again, they found this in Palenque. Below the cartouche are two cups, a common ornament in Mayan carving, but also an Egyptian sign for bowls of incense. In other words, reverence towards the king. Considered as a whole, the design of this statue certainly seems to be of Egyptian origin. All right, it has to be Egyptian, yet there's no proof of them coming. This is straight Maya. They're trying to reclassify it into Egyptian and say somebody came from another part of the world and made it over here. Resemblance of Mayas and
You didn't figure out
Egyptians.
what box was mine.
Physically, the early Mayans greatly resembled the ancient Egyptians, particularly of the middle and lower classes. Both races were a little under average modern height, broad-shouldered, narrow-hipped, fairly muscular,
That's what I
and
asked
of a
you.
distinctly
You didn't watch
reddish
this.
brown color.
Don't let
Copper-colored
nothing
tribes of
happen
America,
because
slightly more red than the
I tell you
average North American Indian. They ordinarily
that
had
all
rather long, somewhat curved noses, slightly receding chins,
maintenance
and a
officers
sloping
right here to
forehead.
the right.
All right, so dodge the hijack with this part because
Then there's
I believe the Mayas had
a
many different
mailbox.
phenotypes and
Mine's
different
number
types of
12
hair and all that.
of the
But
middle.
let's see what they're saying here. It says their heads usually protruded just a little in the
Middle
back,
row at the
generally
top.
above the center. And they had long black, sometimes wavy hair. There you go. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes wavy, sometimes different types of hair, which the women wore in elaborate low coiffures. Talking about braids. Both races had the same characteristic accent, given D and T about the same sound, and pronouncing R entirely without rolling it, so that they used the same letter indiscriminately for either L or R. They were generally healthy and thrived in a warm climate, wore scant clothing, were fond of bathing, liked to color their bodies to increase the naturally reddish tint, and were fond of perfume. All right? That's because this is all happening in here, the true old world. Both races were normally industrious and not warlike, and both had a talent for intensive agriculture, fine architecture, and the conservation of water. They were very religious and remarkably superstitious, and by nature obedient to their priests and rulers. They were greatly interested in astronomy, in which their sages could make surprisingly accurate computations, and both races originally used a year of 360 days, with 5 additional treated as an extra. The civilization of the Mayans, at their best, was about equal to that of the earlier Egyptians. Their colony was presumably founded at an early date in Egyptian history, at a time when the Egyptians, however, were most active and are known to have sought outside of their own country for copper, which they use for tools. All right. So you guys just heard it. Copper. Where's the richest copper? You already know that's in Michigan. They're saying Egyptians went outside and went to Michigan to get copper. Ancient Egyptians was here. Where's the truth now? What's up with the mounds? Come on. Hope you guys reading between the lines as I read. For those who've been following me for a while, especially. If you're new to my channel, make sure to catch up to all the previous presentations so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So these Egyptians, went outside of their country for copper, which they used for tools. From the internal evidence at present available, such as the type of religion, hieroglyphics, and architecture, the colony seems to have been founded during the so-called Old Empire and before the time of Khufu or Cheops. All right, before. All computations in the Mayan calendar are figured from a traditional date corresponding nearly to our 3400 BC. This also falls within the Old Empire. It may be the approximate date of some important events, such as the reign of King Many or the original discovery of America. Dodge the hijack. Again, they're seen in reverse, and ancient Egypt was here. They didn't come from nowhere. They were here. After about 500 years of great prosperity, Egyptian civilization experienced a severe setback, lasting several centuries, and communication with the colony in Yucatan, naturally always somewhat difficult and irregular, must have been abandoned. Several thousand years later, there remained only vague and conflicting traditions in both Europe and America, all right? And the conflicting tradition is that they put it over there when it was never over there. That's why everybody's confused now. Resemblance in religion. The Mayans, as well as the Egyptians, believed in a future life and in a place of punishment for the wicked. They both believed that various objects buried with the dead would be of use to them in the future life. They believed that food offered at shrines of the dead would reach the spirits. They used to make images of the deceased and carefully preserve them. Both the Mayans and Egyptians had a vague conception of a great god superior to the other gods. This great god was believed to have created four brothers, immense giants, who each held up a quarter of the sky. All right, so again, a little bit of generalizations on both sides, grouping a whole bunch of people as Mayans and a whole bunch of people as Egyptians, saying they all practice the same thing. It wasn't really like that. The Mayans called these gods Bakab, which is the Egyptian for spirits of the sky, literally, gods of the bowl. The individual names of these four gods, as recorded by the Egyptians about 3000 BC, were apparently not distinctly preserved by the Mayans through all the centuries until 1565 AD, when Landa noted them, except one, the god of the north, whose special color in Mayan was white, and who was called Ix, pronounced Ish, and Sak, meaning white. The Egyptian for white is Ubash and Sesh, from which Ish may be derived, and the Egyptian for snow is Sarku, which agrees very well with the Mayan Sak. The belief in the four Bakab, who hold the sky, impresses me as too peculiar and too characteristic to be independently developed on separate continents, merely by coincidence. Furthermore, the Egyptians themselves held other somewhat different beliefs concerning the sky at earlier and at later periods during their long history, so that this fact helps to determine the probable time of the establishment of the Mayan colony as during the Old Empire. Okay. And again, yes, it's not a coincidence because ancient Egyptians were in America. It's the same thing you're talking about. Mayan scholars knew the world is round. The sign of the month Hop, dedicated to the calendar and beginning the Mayan year, as it was recorded by Landa, is a crudely drawn spear with three smaller circles to one side. The spear is marked with the Mayan crisscross sign for Earth. Two of the smaller circles are each marked with a star, and the third with a tiny circle within the outer circle, the Egyptian signs for stars and sun. In the Mayan inscription on their monument, the month Pop is usually more simply indicated by a shutter with crossbars. This is the Egyptian hieroglyph for the letter P and also for the sky. All right, same thing. Now it says here a few examples of the similarity and language. It says here Mayan Indian, ancient Egyptians. And it says here Amiats, priests. Amias, a priest, same thing. Bobat, priest. Ab, shrine. Abut, offering. Ahes, Ahekai, sorcerer. Ahau, king. All right. Ahwa, planter. Awa, farmers. Akaul, enemy. Akui, enemies. Akim, to strike. And you guys see, you guys can pause it if you like and take a look and compare it for yourself. A lot of these are literally mean the same thing, almost pronounced the same way, spelled the same way almost. This one right here, you got Ek. Remember, that was one of the so-called black gods of the Maya. An Egyptian, you got Nek and Ek, very black or black. It's almost the same. Ha, water. Wa, water. Wa, agua, wa, water. Same thing. Hai, rain. Ayu, rain. All right, that was, again, some of the comparisons right there. And then it says here, agreement of alphabets. It says Mayan, Egyptian, sound A, says bird, probable name A. And you guys can see, break this down on your own. I'll go slow so you guys can pause it and take a look at it yourself. All right. Very interesting, the comparisons they're doing. A lot of you probably know more than me when it comes to the glyphs here. This here, the alphabets. There are many cross-references possible between the alphabets. In Mayan, for example, Tasek, the 5th month, which is usually spelled by means of a snake's head, with a bowl beneath, is occasionally indicated by means of a snake's head, with 5 fingers just shown below. This is easily explained by the fact that one of the Egyptian signs for K is the palm of the hand. Sure enough, we find K often indicated in Mayan by a hand, even though Landa's alphabet does not give it. Conversely, the Mayan alphabet helps to understand the Egyptian. For some time, I have suspected that the 2 small sloping marks used for I in Egyptian represent rain or dew. This would make the name of the letter Iat and would explain the origin of the Greek name Iota in the Phoenician and Hebrew Yod. Sure enough, the Mayan sign for I is an arc representing the sky with 2 drops coming down. And on further examination, it appears that the Mayans occasionally also use the Egyptian form of I, the 2 small sloping marks. The Mayans deliberately made reading difficult so as to keep knowledge secret. Archaeologists, by means of the day and month signs recorded by Landa in 1565, have ingeniously deciphered the dates of the inscriptions and the system of the calendar, but nothing more. No one has succeeded so far in reading any part of the text. I take particular pleasure, therefore, in providing the basis of a key to Mayan hieroglyphics by showing the phonetic letters are hidden in the inscriptions. The specimens quoted are some of the day and month signs and the letters of a few of those mentioned by Landa, with additional forms of T, I, K, M, N, O, and P. These 7 Mayan letter signs, among others, I discovered by their great resemblance to the Egyptian. All right. Conclusion. As it is based upon definite and verifiable evidence, my discovery of close communication between Egypt and Yucatan will presumably be generally accepted. My suggestion, however, that the Egyptians crossed the Atlantic about 3000 BC and established a colony in America is, of course, only a reasonable hypothesis, and many others may be urged as more tenable, all right? So I'm glad he said that, guys. You guys see, he's being honest. The part that they came over here across the Atlantic is a hypothesis, but the fact that they were in communication or dealing with each other, meaning they were from here, okay, that part he knows for sure. But it's conjecture to say they came from Africa. He's telling you that part is a hypothesis. It says here, number 1, Egyptian and Mayan civilizations may have originated in Asia, may have, sometime before 5000 BC. 2 tribes separating, one migrating to Egypt and the other making the long journey overland through Siberia and North America to Yucatan. All right, again, that's going with the whole out of Asia and Africa theories, and he's making a conjecture that they split. Again, he's talking about the same people. That's why he's finding all that here amongst the Mayas. Number 2, some intermediate nation may have brought Egyptian civilization to America. May have. Again, he's guessing, but probably not the Phoenicians. Again, and the Phoenicians were from here as well, as they would presumably have introduced their own language, a simple alphabet of about 20 letters instead of the Egyptian language and complicated hieroglyphics.
Okay.
Number
Ain't
3,
showed up.
European civilization may possibly have originated in America, as suggested by Brasseur de Bourbourg and urged by Le Plongeon, though he was quite unable to prove
This
this
last
theory.
summer.
And again, guys, we're going with number 3. America is the true
You
old
need to go
world.
to
You
your
see,
room
somebody
and
else
get it
already
yourself.
had
Do
this
something you know what
knowledge,
you're doing.
already had done the research themselves
No, you ain't
to
got
be able
time.
to
You
conclude
almost had
that.
me run down there in my
Again,
underwear, and now you
European
find out they
civilization
supposed to be here
originated in
tomorrow.
America.
You just go to your
Number
room and be
4,
quiet
all
now.
ancient culture
Watch
may
the
have spread
show.
from a large island
Watch how
in the
somebody knows
Atlantic,
what they're doing does it,
subsequently
okay?
submerged by the deluge and referred to as the
No
lost
problem.
Atlantis, as contended by Ignatius Donnelly and others. Okay, are we talking about South America? You hear, I see that? However, if the fact of communication between Egypt and Yucatan is accepted, a direct crossing of the Atlantic by the Egyptians appears at present to be the most probable explanation, right, to him, because that's what he wants it to be true. But we already know ancient Egypt was here. They didn't have to cross it. They were already here. That's why the Mayas and all that have the same influence, same people, spreading the same culture going all over up and down the Americas. They've been seeing it in reverse this whole time, but we're doing the research, but we know better now. We know what the true old world is, and it was over here. And it says here Mayan hieroglyphics with key. And this is what he's showing. All right. It says here in Egyptian. All right. So he's comparing some of the glyphs that you guys can see. So make sure if you guys want to pause this later on and take a look at yourself, you can go ahead and do that. And some more over here. Okay. Itzamna. And this is what is at the end of this book. All right. Some more hieroglyphics. And that's basically the end of this book, guys. Again, that was Egyptian visits to America, some curious evidence discovered by O. Luitis. All right. The only thing is, they're seeing it in reverse. The so-called Egyptians were here. Egypt is a Greek word. To marry is an America. More corroboration. America's a true old world.
This game.
Can you believe that? America is the true old world. I believe it. I mean, why not? With all this evidence being pointed in this direction. And remember, he's reading from someone that did all the research to require to insist that what is being said here in writing is the truth. Not like some people I'm starting to see now that are they're speaking. They don't have no book in front of them. They're not quoting a discovery book or anything. They're not reading from Encyclopedia Britannia. They're just reading from their lips. And unfortunately, you know how it goes on TV. I was watching yesterday, man, and they were going along just fine, great, and dandy. And then all of a sudden, boom, they hit me with one thing that wasn't true. That destroyed the whole program for me. That one thing they said that wasn't true. You know, and we go through that all day, every day, but I'm sure most of you are not like me. You know, I'm a historian. I started out as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid, becoming a historian, wanting to learn the truth about the origin of America and its people. And understanding when my mama told me that we was not from Africa and that we were not Negroes because all those things were given to us, and that we've been here for forever. I was like, my mom is crazy. I keep saying that my mama must have been crazy, man. Everybody know that the white man was here, and then the boats came over from Africa with all the black people in it, and that's the only way we got here. We all know that, right? Wrong. Because I learned in high school that wasn't true. My history teacher was a black person, and they insisted that we not learn that lie about Africans coming over as slaves, Christopher Columbus discovering America, which was already here, the Pilgrims landing on Plymouth Rock, a bunch of white people killing each other for the Revolutionary War, All these things. I was taught that none of that stuff was true. Can you believe that?
Being an account of some of the pictographs, sculptured hieroglyphics, symbolic devices, emblems, and traditions of the prehistoric races of America, with some suggestions as to their origin by William McAdams. This is from 1887, Record of the Ancient Races of the Mississippi.
Go, Bob. Y2K Associates. Hey, it's the Big Chip's birthday party. He turned the Big 30, and this is how it's done. This is the reaction. It's going down. Y2K Associates Computer Chips Party is going down. 2009. Jimmy G all in the building. Yeah. Hey, oh lady. Hey, Bob. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Y2K Associates. It's Chip's 30th birthday, and we out here celebrating. This is the Big Papa Will, you know what I'm saying? Just like back in the day. Y'all better have somebody. YouTube, MySpace. Everybody out here, man. This is how we get down. This is how we party. This is how we do it. Go, Bob. Go, Bob. Go, Bob. Go, Bob.
Yeah, what's
want to take this time to dedicate this song to all my fallen soldiers out there, man. You know what I'm saying? To all my peoples doing hard time. To all my street hustlers, man, my street soldiers. You know what I'm saying? We still out here grinding, man. We out here grinding. Huh. Let's get this money. Let's go. I woke up in the morning, gotta thank God for seeing another day. I got money on my mind, looking for another way. Living this life I live, trying to feed my family in peace. Living this life I live, gotta get this money for the rich. That's why I push a hard line. I keep my pistols by my wayside. To all my peoples doing hard time, just keep your head up, it's gonna be alright, yeah. Here's a true story of a hustler's mind. Counting money on the block day and night. Gotta stay grinding till my pockets run. Got my hands on my pistol, it's a long night. I'm living this street life, yeah. I'm living this street life, yeah. I'm living this street life, yeah. I gotta find a way, I gotta get paid. I stay hugging the block. Gotta stay grinding to the top. I'm getting money, I'm getting money. I'm getting money, got this game on lock. Living this life I live, trying to feed my family in peace. Living this life I live, gotta get this money for the rich. That's why I push a hard line. I keep my pistols by my wayside. To all my peoples doing hard time, just keep your head up, it's gonna be alright, yeah. Here's a true story of a hustler's life. Counting money on the block day
Valley, right? Cover right here. And we're on page 53. This is chapter 13. It says here, the water vessels always accompanying the food vessels in the mounds are very peculiar, and some of the types have a strong resemblance to the water vessels of Egypt. The following is a common form, and hundreds of this shape are to be seen among the collections of mound pottery from the valley of the Mississippi. These are of a capacity to hold from 1 pint to 4 or 5 quarts of liquid. It is quite easy to see that from making useful vessels, it would be natural to advance to the ornamental. Yet it is a little singular that ornamentation is almost every particular of the American mound pottery should be so exactly like that of Egypt and the East, just like Egypt, exactly like Egypt. Where's the real Egypt? The owl-headed vase in the illustration of the following page is almost exactly like one figured by Schliemann from Troy, in reference to the superiority of the skill displayed by the mound builders in the ceramic arts to the corresponding efforts of ancient Europe. We cannot do better than quote the words of Dr. Foster. In the plastic arts, the mound builders attained a perfection far in advance of any samples which have been found characteristic of the stone or even the Bronze Age of Europe, all right? It, it doesn't compare. We can readily conceive that in the advance of any metallic vessels, pottery would be employed as a substitute, and the potter's art would be held in the highest esteem. From useful forms, they advanced to ornamental. Sir John Lubbock remarks that few of the British sepulchral urns belonging to ante-Roman times have any curved lines. Representations of animals and plants are almost entirely wanton. They are even absent from all the articles belonging to the Bronze Age in Switzerland, and I might say in Western Europe generally. But they were common in Greece and Egypt and East, also in the Mississippi Valley. This is chapter 14, and it says here pictographs and hieroglyphic inscriptions on pottery. And it's going to mention about the cross symbol. It says here the mound builders' religion and belief in afterlife. Remember Graham Hancock? We're going to get that. He's going to remind us that they had the exact same belief, just like the Egyptians. And it says here the figure of the cross and the rest of the cross of the Egyptians, the cross of the Chinese, all right? And here's an example from Mount on the Illinois. This one right here with the cross and circle. We're going to see that where that also exists, it actually sits in the hieroglyphic of the name of Egypt. Yes, in the Egyptian hieroglyphic, that's the same symbol. We start right here. It says in Europe, where it is ancient and common, perhaps it would be called a Greek cross. But the same figure seen on the pyramids and was a hieroglyph in Egypt some thousands of years ago. Talking about that cross symbol. In fact, according to Wilkinson, a figure almost exactly like the enclosed cross on this burial vase from a mound on the Illinois River makes a part of the hieroglyphic name of Egypt. You hear that? A glyph, an enclosed cross. This they found on a pottery and from a mound in the Illinois River. Part of the hieroglyphic name of Egypt is on that. In Illinois, in which it is repeated 4 times. And that says that's from Sir Gardner Wilkinson, Ancient Egyptians. And we got that book right here. That's The Ancient Egyptians by Sir Gardner Wilkinson in 1854. And we're on page 244 where it's said to go. And down here says the name of Egypt. You see the X, and you see the symbol of the cross and the X crossed in the circle. Ow. We heard about the owl earlier. Continuing the book, it says, and the same reliable author, and speaking of sacred cakes of the ancient Egyptians, with which the sacred bulls consecrated to the service of their god Isis, Isin, to see Queen Mu Isin, Isis' little sister, is that what it means? Were fed, and upon which there was made the same sign of the cross. Says the cross cakes was their hieroglyphic for civilized land. That's what that cross, you see that? In the circle, he's saying in Egyptian meaning, it meant that was a symbol or the hieroglyph for civilized land. Wherever you saw this, that meant civilized land. So we know we were very civilized here with the mound societies. The mound builders very civilized. The same figure of divided circle, however, occurs in the alphabet or figurative writing of the Chinese and has a similar significance, being their emblem for land or country. The explanation was given to me by most intelligent and educated Chinaman that the cross in the circle had the simple meaning among his people of partition, signifying that their land was divided into fields. In other words, not wild, but a civilized country. You see, agriculture, fields, corn. The figure of an enclosed cross occurs many times in the valley of the Mississippi. This figure is what found all over the Mississippi, in pottery, in the mountains, all over, in the walls. What does that mean? Civilized country, a civilized place. And we have seen it on the pottery, not only outlined by incision, but painted thereon in the peculiar mineral colors used by the mound builders. It is also seen in the carvings on the bluffs and in the caverns, as well as among the painted pictographs. It's all over the Americas and around the Mississippi. It occurs also inscribed in the ornaments of shell and other material used by this ancient people. And in a few instances, we have seen the same symbol on their implements of stone. And we're in chapter 15 real quick. And I just want to show you this vase here. Eaten vessel with inscription in colored clay. This is from the Mississippi Valley. Right, the mound builders. You see the civilized country symbol. You see the symbol right here. We're going to see that's the name of Egypt. We just caught it in the other book. We're going to get it a little bit later again. Tamari has this symbol right here. And they're talking about that these ornaments must have a greater significance, a greater meaning other than just a little color, you know. So it explains a little bit here. This is the other symbols we see here. Found all over the vases in the Mississippi Valley, right? Here's another example right here, vase from Mountain, Missouri, and a vase from a tomb in Thebes in Egypt, right? Says here, Philemon dug up from the site of Ilium on the Trojan plain innumerable relics bearing such symbols. And Sir Gardner Wilkinson found them everywhere in ancient Egypt, all right? These same symbols that you find in here in Missouri, you see that? It says the figure on the right is taken from Wilkinson's ancient Egyptians and was recovered from a tomb amid the ruins of ancient Thebes in Egypt. That we have taken scores of burial vases from the ancient mounds of Illinois and Missouri, almost exactly duplicating the most peculiar shapes of many from Egypt. Duplicates? Which one is the real one? Which one is the duplicate? Again, when the French were here, right? Supposedly French were the first ones to go into Egypt, revive Egypt and all that, ancient Egypt. Where were they really? They were here in Louisiana, weren't they? Louisiana Purchase, Mississippi, all that. All right, where were the French? Where were they really finding all these relics and stuff they got in these museums today? Are they really from Egypt? If they're so identical, who's going to be able to tell where it came from is my point. Right, they're telling you right here, duplicating many from Egypt. Would it in itself be remarkable, but that many of these should be ornamented in the same peculiar way and bear the same symbolic inscriptions is at least suggestive, all right? Not only are they made the same way, but they have the same ornaments as in ancient Egypt. So those really come from ancient Egypt, or they just grabbing them from the Mississippi and put them in the museums. All right, this is from the Library of Princeton. It says here, Theologic Seminary, Historia de la Nación Mexicana, or the History of the Mexican Nation, written by Mariano Cuevas. All right, so we came to the book ourselves. It says that he has doctors and honors in CAS and the University of La Habana. And he's a decano of the Mexican Academy of History. Individuo de número correspondiente de la Real Academia, so he's from the Royal Academy of Spain. He's a member of the Mexican Society and Geographic Society, I guess, and Statistics. And he's from the Estudios de la Ciudad de Mexico, the studies of the Mexican city of Mexico. Member of the correspondent American Historical Society of Worcester, all right, de la Sociedad Geográfica of Lima, the Geographical Society of Lima in Peru, and the Colombian Historical Society. All right, so this guy is very, very prominent. And what I want to emphasize, the very important thing about this is not even like a conspiracy, because they're not even thinking about it like that. They're not even thinking, oh, we're trying to, it just really looks like Osiris and Isis. They're like just really, the guy, when he wrote this, he's literally saying that they found so many things that are so similar to Egyptians that they probably had to have come over here. Like he's literally saying this in this book. But there's no proof of that, right? We just know that Tamari, all that stuff, the true old world, that's over here. All right, so this is on page 14, Historia de la Nación Mexicana. Now look at this. They found these two statues. This is a very bad picture. They probably did this on purpose. This book got scanned very bad. But, you know, I wish we had the original. And this is the writing inside. This is like a replica. This is from the side, A and B. And it says here, Las célebres estatuas de Ajacutla, the famous statues of Acajutla. So this part that I highlighted right now, all right, I brought that to Google Translate. And I just want you guys to see what it says. It says one more step in this sense. That now the translation is not perfect, so you guys bear with me, but let's just go with it. It says one more step in this sense, a step that already cannot be disregarded to no Americanness. All right, they can't disregard this. Was the happy discovery of two statues a few years ago in August 1914 in a rustic property of the Exmo Archbishop of St. Salvador, the Reverend Mr. Villoso, near the railway line in the port of Acajutla, all in the Mayan area. Professor Miguel Ángel González, doing certain excavations in order of the mentioned metropolitan, he found these two beautiful specimens that we reproduce in special illustration. And it is noted that previously many had been found like them. There was actually many like that. Who were despised and destroyed by ignorant indigenous people of the place. So people didn't really take care of them. In that same place, according to the historian, Central American Garcia Palaez, who later he was Archbishop of Guatemala, he existed in ancient times, a very large city and important. All right, so this is very translated. So he's saying that in very ancient times, there was a very large city and it was very important there. All right. All right, so I just want to grab some more text.
Me? And you looking at me? Yeah, all eyes on me. All eyes on me. Woo!
I paid off $495,000 in debt within 18 months using what I now call my success path. And I turned this system.
All right, so let's see what it says. All right, just bear with the translation. All right, so it says, be of the later, whatever the fact is, that statues, mostly the one that represents the mummy of a male, produces all printing to be no already similar to what Egyptian, but clearly Egyptian. It's not just similar, it's clearly Egyptian. He's letting you know it's clearly Egyptian. Even the hieroglyphs looks just like Egyptian. A second inspection, stopping in the locados in the attachment typical under the chin, and more that nothing in this inscription that both boost within the classic ellipsoid or cartridge on the central part of their bodies brings us out of the doubt. All right, there's no doubt. They're trying to describe, again, this is a translation, but you know, very bad translation. He's basically saying there's no doubt, man, this is clearly Egyptian. Already in the presence of the alphabetical series, the modic rosette stone and suede, the hieroglyphics of analogous ellipsoids reproduced in the two greatest works of Champollion, we will see that sign by sign, in figure 14, all the contents about the inscription of the male statue are also in the aforementioned classical monuments. Egyptians, it's all there, it's the same. He's literally telling you it's the same thing. This is crazy right here. This is like big. They hid this, they didn't even publicize this. This is not even mentioned. May check our assertions looking at the figures that we reproduced here and comparing them with two certainly Egyptian food exists in the Cairo Museum, right? On presence of these models, so they're showing the examples in the figure. If it gets tested, the existence of Bliss City, no one can anymore disregard the hypothesis about colonist Egyptians. All right, he's saying they might have been colonist Egyptians here. He's saying nobody can doubt it because this is so Egyptian what he's finding. He's confused. He's like, how did I find an Egyptian statue over here? Egyptians have had to have come over here, but no, this is Tamari. All right, Tamari. says, on pain of leaving unexplained a reality, the assumptions of Egyptian influence in our country have been bartered into probabilities on immigration, if not Egyptian, just from a people that was in cultural contact with the country of the pharaohs. He's saying if they're not Egyptian, they gotta have knew the Egyptians or something. They were in contact with them. Trade, all right, all connected, right? Colony. Where's the real colony? Where's the epicenter? Right here in America, or so-called Atlantis, as the Masons call it, right? It's all Mason talk. But again, I just wanted to go back to the book. Again, I just wanted you to see, this is what I copied. This is what it's translated. That's what's literally it's saying in the book. It's literally saying that here, guys. Sea de último lo que fuera, el hecho de que las estatuas, mayormente la que representa la momia de un varón, produce toda la impresión de ser no ya parecida a lo egipcio, sino netamente egipcia, not just apparently Egyptian, it's exactly Egyptian. He said, netamente, netamente. All right, I'm going to translate netamente to you guys. All right, netamente, netamente means clearly in English, clearly. Netamente, neta, purely, purely, entirely, entirely Egyptian, clearly Egyptian. Netamente, let's go back. Let's go back. Netamente. All right, netamente egipcia. You see it right here. So let's go back to the image. Here it is. Look at that. Osiris and Isis. And we've already done the corn video, right? Showing how Isis is really a corn deity. Corn mummified. This corn coming out of Isis is the whole ritual of harvest and everything. New beginning. And Isis, the corn mother. All right, they got this from us. These are the corn deities. We're waking up with analog, and there's nothing new under the sun. All right, we're going to read this article from North Carolina, 1839, from 1839. Nothing new under the sun. Only think, mummies found on this North American continent of ours. Mummies exactly like those of Egypt, all right? Again, are the Masons making it up when they're writing in their sacred books and teaching their initiates and all that? That this is the true the original Egypt. This is where you find the promised land, Atlantis.
Did you know that you could get $50,000 to over $150,000 of investment capital at zero?
Are they lying? And then they're finding mummies and all this stuff around here that they never told you about. Christopher Columbus is not so great a hero after all. A bold navigator and all that, but it seems he was mistaken when he supposed he had found a new world. All right? Yeah, he was very mistaken. He knew where he was coming. He didn't never said that. He knew where he was going. He was sent over here. He met Indians in Ireland in the 1470s. He knew about the navigational stories of, he knew there was trade going on anciently back and forth. He knew this was Atlantis. He knew this was the promised land. Read the notice of Dr. Hawks' lecture below. He is a native of our state and does her honor. Dr. Hawks delivered his lecture on Wednesday evening on the antiquities of America to a crowded room at the Stuyvesant Institute and illustrated his remarks by transparent drawings prepared for the occasion. He first exhibited drawings of mounds, walls, etc., in several parts of the western states, interesting only as exhibiting a link in the chain of testimony, and then proceeded to exhibit drawings representing ruins in Mexico and Central America. The audience listened with respectful attention. Some appeared to be quite interested, but there was an absence of all extraordinary surprise or enthusiasm. Not a man belonging to the Institute of France would have been able to have kept his seat, and having the evidences clearly placed before him, which at once overthrows and unsettles all the theories respecting the discovery of America, listen, and proves uncontestably that we are in the old world. All right, it's not me saying it. Listen to this. I can't make this up. Yo, waking up with analog. We cannot make this up. Once you see the overwhelming evidence, all right, that is placed before you, respecting the discovery of America, it proves uncontestably that we are the old world. I've been telling you, shout out to Drop Nation, and not in a country discovered but a few centuries ago. It goes further and throws a new light upon the Bible and prophecies, the only true historical record we have to guide us in such matters. It was impossible to look at the pyramids and the drawings of ruins in Central America, recently made by Mr. Walbeck, together with the glyph, the myriads of stone tortoises, the figures of Isis and Osiris, the palm leaf, the serpents, the heavy stone work, and the various basso relievos, without being satisfied that these were the works and labors of the very same architects who originally built Thebes and Memphis. All right, Memphis is right here in Tennessee. In our long, we hope to have a Champollion with us and the deciphering of the hieroglyphics and the true ancient history of this country. All right, the true ancient history of this in the Americas. All right, you guys hearing? Like everything we've learned on this channel, right? He's just confirming it. Once you really start deciphering the hieroglyphics and the true ancient history of this country will be made known. All right, Dr. Hawks deserves great credit for his laborious research and his lucid views on this subject. He is a pioneer of a great work. A new era is opening in the history of our country. A new era is opening right now, guys. It was supposed to happen in the 1800s. 1839, they wrote this. 1839, that's almost 200 years ago. Almost. He says a new era, and what happened? What happened? All of a sudden, everything's in Africa, right? But right now, a new era is opening in the history of our country, an era in which we shall have extraordinary developments of the past and wonderful events for the future. And I believe that right now. Let's make it happen. Because there's nothing new under the sun. So it's called Mysteries of Ancient South America by Harold T. Wilkins. Here, one may recall that the Jew prophets Ezekiel and Isaiah, now listen to this, located the ancient paradise in Garden of Eden in the north. But if the reader glances at a map, he will see that north of Brazil corresponds to that very Amenti land or land of the dead. Amenti from Egypt, calls of Amenti Thoth, paradise of the ancient Egyptians. And the Celt, under another name of the Royal or High Atlantean Brazil, High Brazil. They're telling you north of, of Brazil, right? Which the people of the Pharaohs said lay to the west of the Nile. Moreover, there was a man who was 12th king in the calendar of the Mayas, and whose country, Guatemala, was a Nile. You hear this? And whose country, what? Guatemala was a Nile, who corresponds closely with the Menes of ancient Egypt, who built the temple of Memphis and turned the course of the Nile of Egypt. All right, you hearing all this? Brazil, the old and mysterious, seems to be the ancient land, which was perhaps the cradle of the world's oldest civilization. Maybe 60,000 years ago, in a day when our own European ancestors were living in caves in then far warmer regions, what is now Pyrenean France, Cantabrian Spain, or Lacustrine Switzerland. All right, Delena, you know this guy. What happened? That seems that Brazil seems to have the ancient land, which was perhaps the cradle of the world's oldest civilization, cradle of the world. When I was in Rio in 1938, I heard about a French engineer, Apollinaire Fraud, who had gone into the unknown region west of the Goyas Plateau to search for some very ancient gold mines. For half a century, Fraud had hunted these ancient mines, and in the course of his wanderings had stumbled on ancient rock inscriptions in Amazonas and the Mato Grosso woods, which to his amazement revealed the amazing fact that the ancestors of the ancient Egyptians, listen to this, what did he find in the Amazon, this guy? That the ancestors of the ancient Egyptians were of South American origin. They were from South America and had left these petroglyphs as portalanos to the location of the ancient gold mines they worked, and which are now shrouded in dense bush and lianas. haunted by poisonous snakes, loathsome insects whose bite is pathogenic, and dangerous animals can. He's letting you know that the ancestors of the ancient Egyptians were of South American origin. All right, was the true old world. Now says Fraud has had been exploring these wild woods of Brazil since he was a youth. It was in the province of Amazonas that he came on an ancient carved rock hidden by dense jungle close to a river, which recorded the journey of a Proto-Egyptian priest to what is now Bolivia. The ancient inscriptions went on to speak of Proto-Egyptian silver mines located in what is now the basin of Rio Madeira, south of the Madeira Falls. These portolanos in stone must be the oldest treasure shards known. Stage by stage, these portolanos and ancient stones ran across central Brazil, from some very ancient Proto-Egyptian port which must have been located between Bahia and Rio de Janeiro in the plateau of Goiás, on the edge of the mysterious wilderness which has never at any time been under sea or ice, and which today is known as the Roosevelt Tableland. Pratt found one of these stones while he was running down an old Carthaginian trail. All right, he's finding this all in Brazil. It's talking about Carthaginian trail, right? The clue of the hieroglyphics led him to a very ancient gold mine. All right, so he found it like Indiana Jones following the clues in the middle of a virgin forest too thick for him to penetrate. Indeed, many of these ancient Brazilian Bolivian gold mines today are buried in the middle of ancient woods. Pratt says his inscription proved that the ancestors of the Egyptians, now listen to this, long before they passed to Africa and the Nile, had established an ancient South American empire ranging from what is now Bolivia to Bahia. So, wait a minute.
Most people have no clue that in 20
In ancient America, in South ancient America, he's saying that the records indicate that the people that we call the Egyptians immigrated to the area of Africa where we find them now from here in America. So we have to be very proud of where we're from, okay? No more beating it up because of who's running it now. But we got to understand that people of color have always been in charge. And that's what we have to start teaching our young people and the children and get the education system to get off its knees, get out of Woodrow Wilson's butthole and start teaching this knowledge. Because this ain't no secret. It's just that they don't want you to know this. They don't want you to know that forever, ancient world has always been about Native Americans, which is swarthy, tawny, copper-colored people. Us. Our ancestors didn't come here on those slave ships, but our ancestors did sail away from here on all types of ships all over the existing, what we call the existing world. Although we got to keep in mind, though, that in ancient times, the continents were shaped a lot different than they are now. And the roadways, the waterways, are totally different from what the waterways were, in ancient history, 10,000, 20,000, 200,000 years ago. What we're looking at now was not what it looked like back then, y'all. So let's go, let's get on back in here and get some
sexy ways. Make a old man wish for younger days, yeah, yeah. She knows she's built and knows how to please. Show enough can knock a strong man to his knees. Cause she's a big house. Yeah, she's mighty, mighty. Just letting it all hang out. Hey, brick house. Like lady stack, that's a fact. Ain't holding nothing back now.
The world to know. Got to let it show. Coming out. The world to know. Got to let it show. Coming out. Show. Y'all go get it, hit it, y'all. That dance will get it. World to know. Nothing that it show. Morning, coming out. Hit it, y'all. No, nothing that it show. On it, get down on it, get down on it, get down on it, and get down on it, get down on it, get down on it, get down on it. Standing on the wall. Get up off the wall, y'all. Off the wall. How you doing? Standing on the wall. Get up off the wall. Standing down on it. Get 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 down on it. On it. Let's go. What did I do tonight? Huh? Get on the floor. Get on that groove, y'all. If you want your body to move, I'm too old to be moving like this, but y'all need to help me. Off the wall. Off the wall. On the wall. Get your butt up off the wall. Get down on it. 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 Down. Off the wall. Dan. Come on. Get back off the wall. Dan. Come on. On it. Get down 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 on it. Get down. It's a great mix, huh? Behind. Right. Open that bottle up, y'all. One behind. Hey. No, serious. I know you getting down, Lady Virgo. To all the ladies in the house. On your feet. Yeah, right. Ooh. Come on, sexy ladies, hit it. Oh, shit. Sorry about that, y'all. The music was getting to me, and I was just in the back, just slipping out, leaning up against the wall, getting back in the groove. I didn't realize I didn't have the music hooked up, so I hope you're still with me there, y'all. I'm still learning how to do this, but I appreciate y'all bearing with me while I learn how to do this. Neo, you sure? I know you be running your show. Serious. I appreciate you too. Queen. Come tomorrow. Let's all do it again. Boys will be boys. Better let them have their toy. You know, you don't have to tell me there was silence going on there. I think I want to live the sporty life. Oh, man. Oh, you stole my next news series. I was about to go get my roller skates on too, girl. Come on in. I'm going to let you get that roll, but I'm going to get my roller skates up anyway. I know about the roller skating, okay? When I got out the military, I had my roller skates mounted onto my boots. And then I wore them with my shoes untied. I was hot, okay? You could not beat me on no roller skating ring. I didn't care what moves you had. I had those moves plus some more moves. Everybody, get on the floor. Let's dance. Let's dance, y'all. Give your feet a chance. Give your feet a chance, y'all. Come on, hot foot. Shake your booty. Hey, now. Booty. Shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty. Oh, you can do it very well. Your body, best in the world. I can tell. Oh, shake. Shake your booty. I forgot all the lyrics because I just got to sing the hook now. Shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty. What's going on? So there you are, Mary B. Okay. I had a feeling you to show up. Shake your booty, girlfriend. Get your horns out, y'all. Get your horns out. You get them drums up there, too. I ain't got no tambourine, so you just have to pretend that this is a tambourine, okay? I'm your blues man. That's what I am. I'm here to do whatever I can. Be an early morning. late afternoon or midnight. Never too soon. Get your flashlights out there. Get your flashlights ready. Flashlights ready, y'all. Anybody got any candles? Light your candles up. Show that you know this old school music right here. That's it, serious. Take that butt, girl. Take it, take it, take it. Whatever I can. And don't be afraid to be taking some booze either, y'all. I know y'all got some big booze out there. Get that butt there and the booze on the trail. Let's get it, get it. I'm acting like I've been drinking up in here, stuff, you know, but I ain't been doing but gnawing on the ground beef. That's all I got. Coca-Cola, y'all. Serious, is that some Viagra you done found up in here, girl? What is really going on? You better put that on ice, boy, because I ain't that old myself. I don't know about these other guys up in here. Come on, take it down. That's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. We're going to put it in there. Yeah, y'all follow me. That's just the way I like it right there. Will you give me all your love and do it, baby, very much you can. Oh, that's the way I like it. Yeah, y'all at the Love Hotel tonight, boy. We burning it. Put it in the air. Put it in the air, y'all. Don't call no fire department up in here. Oh, yeah! Sweet in my ear. When you try to turn me on. Oh, that's the way I like it. 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 All right, y'all. It's ladies' night now. Who's up in here trying to get pregnant? Huh? Raise your hand. Ladies' night. Breastfeeding is allowed in the club, okay? And the feeling's right. Oh, this is ladies' night. Oh, what a night. What a night. This is ladies' night. And the feeling's right. Oh, this is ladies' night. Oh, what a night. Y'all got everyone. A night that's special everywhere. Ladies' night in the club, y'all. To Hollywood, it's ladies' night, and girl, the feeling's good. Oh, yes, it's ladies' night. Time for everybody to be falling in love. You know, get that dance floor, and get that boogie on, get your boogie on, barefoot. And the feeling's right. Oh, yes, it's ladies' night. Oh, what
lady, single baby, sophisticated mama. Come on, you disco lady, yeah, stay with me tonight, mama.
Come on,
yeah.
come on, mama, play with me tonight.
It's the boys'
Play tonight. For the ladies now. Club be packed of ladies tonight. Except for when you go to that one club where the ladies in that club come for the disco drink and don't know when to stop and hit the dance. Gas in the dance, they ain't got enough champagne. But this lady knows how it goes right here. And she knows it's where it is when you go to the club. Everybody get up. Fire!
To the ladies, swap you for the greatest. Oh, it sure is moving me.
Yeah, that's me on the dance floor with the moves.
All of it was kissing, so to be made history. What you have no doubt, I'm gonna spell it out. I'm gonna see that it's. I got the
Candles in the air. Come on, y'all, knock it out.
I'm talking Spanish to you, baby. Spanish, Spanish. I'm talking love. Spanish, Spanish. I'm talking Spanish to you, baby. Spanish, Spanish. I'm talking love.
All right, y'all, we're going to slow it down a little bit here now. Bring y'all some E40.
The NFL season is here.
That sounded like a commercial right there, so I'm just going to go ahead and be ignorant and talk right over until we can get to E40. Y'all don't know nothing about this guy. Then we'll get back to some more old school, y'all. I got to play a couple hits by my two sponsors so that they don't stop sponsoring because they're playing their music.
Yep. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Ever told on a nigga?
Nope.
Ever squeezed the trigger?
Yep.
Ever set a nigga up?
Nope.
Ever helped a brother out when he was down on his luck?
Yep.
You a sap?
Nope.
You a boss player? You a Mac?
Yep.
Let me hold.
What's going on, Marlene?
Y'all still be popping y'all collars?
Yep.
Stock rims on the scrape?
Nope.
Paint wetter than a lake?
Yep.
Poodle in my blood?
Nope.
Bitch, I'm a thug?
Yep.
You a loser?
Nope.
Winner?
Yep.
Starving?
Nope.
Dinner?
Yep.
You still sell dope?
Nope.
Now you cleaner than a bar Dove soap?
Yep.
Got a little Gouda?
Nope.
Got a thumper, got a Ruger?
Yep.
You in love with the hoe?
Nope.
She bringing you the dough?
Yep.
You gon' cry if she leave?
Nope.
You gon' fly overseas?
Yep. Everybody got choices. Everybody got choices, y'all know.
Everybody got choices. These bitches is choosing
Oh,
the
that's
all in their
DJ.
heads.
I'm going to sister right there, y'all.
Keep it 1,000 out of
Hello,
the
DJ.
Everybody got choices. These niggas be hating, I already know, but I never go broke. No, I'ma stay getting money. Yeah. And I ain't gotta sell my soul. No. I'ma stay getting money. Yeah. If you broke, you ain't like me. No. I'ma stay getting money.
I'ma stay getting money.
I give a fuck if you don't like me.
I don't give a fuck if you don't like me.
Yeah. Lazy?
Nope.
Got dick that'll drive a hoe crazy?
Yep.
Hater?
Nope.
Wanna see a player get paper?
Yep.
Traitor?
Nope.
Loyal to my soil, not a faker?
Yep.
Sleep? Nope. Bust moves, hella active in the streets. Yep. Scared of the dark. Nope. Have money, have heart. Yep. Nork. Nope. Shark. Yep. Gossip like a brawl. Nope. Chick a bitch like a smog. Yep. Slipping. Nope. Tripping. Yep. Sober as a gopher. Nope. Hide in a roller coaster. Yep. Star Wars. Nope. Yoda. Yep. Never leave the house without my strap. Nope. Shoot a motherfucker in his nap. Yep. Never been a sucker or a pussy. Nope. Blowing cookie, never coughing like a rookie. Yep.
Everybody got choices.
I choose to get money, I'm stuck to this bread. Everybody got choices.
Everybody got
These
choices.
bitches is choosing, I'm all in their head. Everybody got choices. Keep it 1,000, I like that I choose. Everybody got choices. These niggas be hating, I already know, but I never go broke. No. I'ma stay getting money. Yeah. And I ain't gotta sell my soul.
Mary, I've been looking for you to show up back up here for a long time. Last time I played, I was trying to get you a win. You could be dropping your makeup in here.
Was it love at first sight? No.
So now
Did she ride you
here,
like a bike?
go ahead and drop your link
Was it
for
right?
everybody that's not
Was her pussy tight?
signed up to you.
Was it property? No. Driving my
Great shows
Ferrari?
happening.
You solid in the sock?
Find
No.
you in
You
there.
solid as a rock? Yep. Slow?
I know you got it.
Train to
there's
go?
Mary.
Yep. Your team weak? No. You respected in the street knee? Yep.
Yeah, Mary, say something else.
No. Didn't need? Yep.
Marlene,
Bro?
how you doing today?
Chin knee? Yep. Not a BB
Haven't
or a
seen
pellet
you in a
gun?
minute.
No. But a long barrel bass drum?
But I know the
If I
last
get
time
into
I
a
saw
walk
you,
ride? No. I'ma give a nigga fair run. Yep. Still live in the trap?
last time I saw you,
You
Marlene,
ever go back? Yep. We're wire
changed
in
the
the
whole cover. I
camera.
don't even recognize you.
Ears to the scanner?
Here, you. Oh, I see.
I choose to get money, I'm stuck to this bread.
I know, baby.
Everybody got choices.
Everybody
These
got
bitches is
choices,
choosing,
y'all.
I'm all in their head. Everybody got choices. Keep it 1,000, I like that I choose. Everybody got choices. These niggas be hating, I already know, but I never go broke. No. I'ma stay getting money. Yeah. And I ain't gotta sell my soul. No. I'ma stay getting money. Yeah. If you broke, you ain't like me. No. I'ma stay getting money. Yeah.
I stay broke.
Like me.
I be on the internet so much, working with the models and stuff that somebody's always asking me for money. So I stay broke. So now I'm gonna bring up Michael Welch, our other sponsor. Get him on up in here. Just grab your feet and hold on to your blouses and your skirts, honey, because this boy will see you naked. I want all of y'all to stay safe up in here.
Show me what you got.
Yeah, you looking just as good as the last time I remember. Sound, you have a drink. There's something I want to say.
I want you naked, can't you see what your sexy body does to me? You fill my head with fantasies of ecstasy.
Hey, what's up, man?
Holding me, loving you,
Talk
loving
to
me.
Marlene and Tanya. Very sweet on them.
Dance to me. You've got a body that's so heavenly. Combusting in the club with perfect skin and perfect eyes, perfect lips and perfect
Hell, the
eyes.
beta suit ain't gonna do. That just ain't making enough up in here. Pop wheels, club.
You've already decided. Your trust in me is confided. So go tell your homegirl you're leaving here with me. We ain't got no time for playing games. The name and number that you gave are the real thing. So let's
Don't get 'em, Nate.
satisfy our curiosity.
Put a little pussy up in the house, y'all.
If you wanted to. Got my nature rising.
Nobody
just for
run.
you. So come on, baby, let's
Nobody
have
gets
a
scared and try to
It's
run off,
time you
okay?
show yours,
Real
I'll show you mine. A little
see you,
bump
brother.
ride to the 69. I want you naked and I ain't wrong. I like the candle while you lose that thong. Come over here and let me take it off. You break me off in the way I'm gonna shake it off. You know I came to get you off, girl. Yeah.
We got some twigs for you. You bachelor people here. Take some twigs with you.
After getting up on the room, taste of me going down on you. Some dinner conversation, and we're right back in the mood.
A little bit of conversation, man. I had to start all over this, y'all.
Me touching you, girl, caressing me, revealing secrets of love, inside us. Whisper,
fire!
Oh, I don't play with this stuff, girl. I'll be freaky enough. I'll be the biggest freak you'll ever do. No, you don't need no lingerie. No sex.
I don't get it, y'all. Get it. Yeah. Come over here and let me do the things you want me to. The kind of things you never knew. The things your man at home won't do for you. I want you to make it. I'll marry you later, but I want to see you get you right now, okay? Get it serious. That's the perfect time, huh? I want you naked. Yep, that's Michael saying he's trying to hold on to this song, man. He gets
as an entrepreneur, as a
when he
creator,
does.
I'm 24/7.
I want y'all to know I got more for you. Don't worry, because I got my freaky girl coming on up in here featuring Nate Dogg and Jack Nectar with us on God's son Johnny Fest.
She's a very freaky girl. The kind you don't take home to mother.
Tell him, Nate.
Heard she's got a ring.
I remember when Nate was a little boy doing but he didn't have a towel out yet, but there he was on my stage. Across the stage.
I like it to life like a sunshine rays, hot like a fire, burning so bright. I wanna be a freaking nasty girl tonight. Get lost in my eyes, now you're hypnotized. Fake so long that you can't deny. I got the other girlies wondering why they can't be a freaking nasty girl tonight. Living in a fantasy, my own little nasty girl tonight. Don't you wanna come with me? I need me a nasty girl tonight. Living in a fantasy, my own little nasty girl tonight. Don't you wanna come with me? I need me a nasty girl. I get drunk on my love when we wrap it up. 6 when the fun, yeah, I get the job done. Like a tidal wave, I'll rock you right. I wanna be a freaking nasty girl.
Heard she's got a ring. That's one just like the other. Found out they're rather nasty. They say birds of a feather. Boy, I love it when we meet. Club peanuts on the corner. Tonight, living in a fantasy, my own little nasty world. Tonight, don't you wanna come with me? I need me a nasty girl. Tonight, living in a fantasy, my own little nasty world. Tonight, don't you wanna come with me? I need me a nasty girl.
Yeah, Nate. Finally got it done, bro. Wish you could have been here. 2021.
For over 50 years,
Yeah, what's up? I want to take this time to dedicate this song to all my fallen soldiers out there, man. You know what I'm saying? To all my peoples doing hard time. To all my street hustlers, man. My street soldiers. You know what I'm saying? We still out here grinding, man. We out here grinding. Huh. Let's get this money. Let's go.
I woke up in the morning, gotta thank God for seeing another day. I got money on my mind, looking for another way. Living this life I live, trying to feed my family and kids. Living this life I live, gotta get this money for the rent. That's why I push a hard line. I keep my pistols by my wayside. To all my peoples doing hard time, just keep your head up, it's gonna be alright, yeah. Here's a true story of a hustler's life. Counting money on the block day and night.
Yeah, what's up? I want to take this time to dedicate this song to all my fallen soldiers out there, man. You know what I'm saying? To all my peoples doing hard time. To all my street hustlers, man. My street soldiers. You know what I'm saying? We still out here grinding, man. We out here grinding. Huh. Let's get this money. Let's go.
I woke up in the morning, gotta thank God for seeing another day. I got money on my mind, looking for another way. Living this life I live, trying to feed my family and kids. Living this life I live, gotta get this money for the rent. That's why I push a hard line. I keep my pistols by my wayside. To all my peoples doing hard time, just keep your head up, it's gonna be counting money on the block day and night. Gotta stay grinding till my pockets burn. Got my hands on my pistol, it's a long night. I'm living this street life, yeah. I'm living this street life. Ali, I'll be the greatest. I'm legendary. I'm street famous. Like Ali, I'll be the greatest. I'm legendary. I'm street famous. Gotta feed my fam. Can't go for broke. No time for play. No time for jokes. This just what a fool I've been. I wish that it would go and let me cry in bed and let me be alone again. The only girl I care about is gone away, looking for a brand new start. But little does she know that when she left that day, along with her she took my heart. Baby, please tell me now, does that seem fair? For her to steal my heart away when she don't care. I can't love another when my heart's somewhere far away. The only girl I care about is gone away, looking for a brand new start. But little does she know that when she left that day, along with her she took my heart. Babe, won't you tell her that I love her so? Please ask the sun to set her heart alone. Rain in her, let the lovely new start to grow. Listen to the rhythm of the falling rain, telling me just what a fool I've been. I wish that it would go and let me cry in pain and let me be alone again. Oh, listen to the falling rain, pitter patter, pitter patter. Oh, listen to the falling rain.
While I'm a paid actor, and this isn't a real company, there's no way to fake how fast you can hire on Upwork. With Upwork, you can post.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be.
Dang, Johnny.
So cool, old school. Big Snoop Dogg, I be breaking the rules. I'm phenomenal, your mama knows, so I'ma go and get it. Did the beat, so you know I got to spit it. You got the look of a diva. Y'all got it all now. Follow the procedure. I need you to leave your mind, but bring your body. Ain't nothing but an east side party. You know it's cracking like that. Why you acting like that? Hand me your glass. Let me pour you some gas. That's landed. Now if you act right, by the end of the night you get the can with the Southside boss. Twist that spinach. Put fire on the end of the bitch. Now let me hit it. Baby, you cute, but you need to be fucking with Snoop. Come through and see what it do.
Oh yes, it's Diva night, and she's feeling right. Oh yes, it's Diva night, gonna get it in tight. Oh yes, it's Diva night, and she's feeling right. Oh yes, it's Diva night, gonna get it in tight. Phenomenal, abdominal pressure with the follow through. Relax for a second, let me tell you what we ought to do. We start with the top, then move it to the bottom. Let your dress hit the floor like your panties be dropping. Damn, you look good, girl, rocking the set, getting it wet. Correct me if I'm wrong so I can place my bet. This is the time of the night when your girls join in, cause I'm the type of motherfucker fucking you and your friend. East coast to the west side, doing it all night. Take you one at a time, no need for a cat fight. The D-O-double-G-Y and the W-E-S-T. Oh yes, it's Diva night, and she's feeling right. Oh yes, it's Diva night, gonna get it in tight. Oh yes, it's Diva night, and she's feeling right. Oh yes, it's Diva night, gonna get it in time. Get it in time.
Me and my girls out at the club, dancing all night long to the robot dog. Gotta be a mood, but I catch my eye. Super duper kind with a super sweet smile. Gotta get to know me in the right way. Turn up the Marley and pass the J. Looking so fine, listening to reggae. In your arms, I want to stay. I'm the queen, yeah, I'm a diva. Come too close, you'll catch a fever. My love spell on you, then you got amnesia.
Oh yes, it's Diva night, and she's feeling right. Oh yes, it's Diva night, gonna get it in tight. Oh yes, it's Diva night, and she's feeling right. Oh yes, it's Diva night, gonna get it in tight. Get it in tight.
You gave it to him one cut.
Johnny West, Snoop D-O-double-G.
Good news, everyone. Welcome to your new home.
Oh, we're back, baby.
Why don't you have a belt?
Or at least it's substantial.
Regulators. We regulate any stealing of his property. We're damn good, too. But you can't be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
Regulators! Mount up. It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets, trying to consume some skirts for the E, so I could get some phones. Rolling in my ride, chilling all alone.
Just hit the east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. Seen a car full of girls, ain't no need to tweak. All of you search know what's up with 213.
So I hooked select on 21 and Lewis. Some brothers shooting dice, so I said, let's do this. I jumped out the ride and said, what's up? Some brothers pulled some heat, so I said, I'm
since these girls peeping me, I'm gonna glide and swerve. These looking so hard, they straight hit the curve. Want you bigger, better things than some horny tricks. I see my homie and some suckers all in his mix.
I'm getting jacked, I'm breaking myself. I can't believe they taking Warren's wealth. They took my rings, they took my Rolex. I looked at the brother, said, damn, what's next?
They got my homie hemmed up and they all around. Can't none of them see him if they going straight down for pound. They wanna come up real quick before they start to clown. I best pull out my and lay them busters down.
They got guns to my head, I think I'm going down. I can't believe it's happening in my own town. If I had wings, I would fly, let me contemplate. I glance in the cut and I see my homie Nate.
16 in the and 1 in the hole. Nate Dogg is about to make some bodies turn. Now they dropping and yelling, it's a tad bit late. Nate Dogg and Warren G had to regulate. I laid all them busters posters down, I let my explode. Now I'm switching my mind back into freak mode. If you won't skirt, sit back and observe. I just left a gang of over there on the curb.
Now they got the freaks, and that's a known fact. Before I got jacked, I was on the same track. Back up, cause it's on N-A-T-E and me, the woman to the G.
Just like I thought, they were in the same spot, in need of some desperate help. The Nate Dogg and the G-Child were in need of something else. One of them dames was sexy as hell. I said, ooh, I like your size. She said my chords broke down and just sing real nice. Would you let me ride? I got a car full of girls and it's going real swell. The next stop is the East Side Motel.
Know the deal. You are wondering if the words I'm saying are for real. Cause you got more appeal than any man in this whole world. And baby, I got to know how you feel. Yeah. Tell me if you want me to give you all my time. I want to make it good for you. Cause you blow my mind. I promise, boy, that I'll be true. You're the perfect fine. So tell me if you want me to. Sweetheart, now it's time I let you go. I don't wanna rush. We should take it slow. Boy, I can love you. Can you help me grow? Give me a new beginning. Oh, baby, yeah.
Oh, my love, please tell me if you want me to.
I want you to. I want you to.
I wanna make it good. I wanna make it good to you, baby.
Ooh, yeah.
So won't you tell me? Tell me. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. A sugar and spice. I feel nice. A sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I you any harm. My love won't do you no harm. And I feel nice. The sugar and spice. I feel nice. The sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love can't do me no harm. And I feel nice, the sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice. So nice, I got you. Wow, I feel good. I knew that I would not. I feel good. I knew that I would. So good, so good. I got you. So good, so good. I got you. So good, so good. I got you.
Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Tell me. Oh, what you gonna do? Do you wanna get down? Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Tell me. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Come on in. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it.
How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall.
Get your back up off the wall.
Tell me, how you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall.
Get your back up off the wall.
'Cause I heard all the people saying,
Get down on it.
come on and
Get down on it.
if you really want it,
Get down on it.
you gotta feel it.
Get down on it.
Get down on it.
Get down on it.
Come on and
Get down on it.
baby, baby,
Get down on it.
get on it.
Get down on it.
I say, people, what you gonna do? You gotta get on the groove if you want your body to move. Tell me, baby, how you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall.
Get your back up off the wall.
Tell me, how you gonna do it if you really won't take a chance? By standing on the wall.
Get your back up off the wall.
'Cause I heard all the people saying,
Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it.
when you're dancing,
Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it.
sha-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-doo. What you gonna do? Do you wanna get down? What you gonna do?
Get your back up off the wall. Dance. Come on. Get your back up off the wall. Dance. Come on. Get down on it.
Come on in.
Get down on
If
it.
you really want it,
Get down on it.
you gotta feel it.
Get down on
Get
it.
down on it.
Get down on it. Get down.
Come on in.
Get down on it.
Baby, baby,
Get down on it.
get on it.
Get down on it.
How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall.
Get your back up off the wall.
Tell me, baby, how you gonna do it if you really won't take a chance? By standing on the wall.
Get your back up off the wall.
Listen, baby, you know it. When you're dancing, yeah, you show it. When you move, 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 you know it. When you're dancing, yeah.
you show it as you move across the floor. Get down on it. Come on and get down on it. If you really want it, get down on it. You gotta feel it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Come on and get down on it. Baby, baby. Get down on it. Get on it. Get down on it. Sha-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da.
What you gonna do? Do you wanna get down? What you gonna do?
Get your back up off the wall. Dance, come on. Get your back up off the wall. Dance, come on. Get down on it. Come on and get down on it. If you really want it, get down on it. You gotta feel it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Come on and get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. While you're dancing, get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Oh, oh, yeah. Get down on it. You move me, baby, when you move. Get down on it. 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 Get your back up off the wall.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seemed impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seemed impossible to face, and when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. I just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Two, 1, 2, 3.
She came from somewhere back in the long ago. The sound about the moon now, she trying hard to recreate what had yet to be created. Once in her life, the imposters all smile for his nostalgic play. Never coming near what they wanted to say, only to realize it never really was. She had a place in his life. He never made her think twice. As she rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know. He's watching her go. But what a fool believes. Do you see? The wise man has the power to reason away what seems to be is always better than nothing. And nothing at all. Keep sending it somewhere back in the long ago, where he can still believe there's a place in her life. Someday, somewhere, she will return. She had a place in his life. He never made her think twice. As she rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know. He's watching her go. But what a fool believes. He sees the wise man has the power to reason away. If love can come and love can go, why can't love return on strong to reason away? Oh Lord, I believe she's never gone away. Oh Lord, to reason away. I believe she's never gone away. Oh no, who's got the power? Nothing at all. Oh no. ever loved me. You are my shining star, my guiding light, my love fantasy. There's not a minute, hour, day, or night that I don't love you. You're at the top of my list, cause I'm always thinking of you. I still remember in the days when I was scared to touch you, how I spent my day dreaming, planning how to say I love you. You must have known that I had feelings deep enough to swim in. That's when you opened up your heart and you told me to come and hold my love. 1,000 kisses from you is never enough. I just don't wanna stop. Oh my love. A million days in your arms is never enough. I just don't wanna stop. Too much, never too much, never too much, never too much. Woke up today, looked at your picture just to get me started. I called you up, but you weren't there, and I was broken hearted. Hung up the phone, can't be too late, the boss is so demanding. Opened the door up, and to my surprise, there you were standing. Who needs to go to work to hustle for another dollar? I'd rather be with you, cause you make my heart scream and holler. Love is a gamble, and I'm so glad that I am winning. We've come a long way, and yet this is only the beginning of my love. 1,000 kisses from you is never enough. Too much, too much. I just don't wanna stop. A million days in your arms is never enough. Too much, never too much, never too much. And I just don't wanna stop. Kisses from you is never too much. I just don't wanna stop.
You know, I was wondering, you know, if you could keep on, because the force it's got a lot of power, and it makes me feel like it makes me feel like
Sensation.
Our sensation.
Tell me where we are. Ooh. So let take us through the hours. I won't be waiting. This is love. Ooh. Keep on with the first dose. Don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the first dose. Don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the first dose. Don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the first dose. Don't stop till you get enough. It's the feeling now. I won't be waiting. The process now. Keep on with the first dose. Don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the first dose. Don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the first dose. Don't stop till you get enough. Keep on. Keep on. Till you get enough. Keep on. Till you get enough. No problem. Till you get enough. Keep on.
I pull up to the line, drop a 3 on them. Dagger in the heart, Kobe lean on them. Look them in the eye, love mean on them. Untouchable, triple team on them. 5 champion rings on them. Purple and gold, fresh and clean on them. Yeah, I'll be balling. MVP shot calling. Forever a legend. Look in the sky, my name is written in heaven. Forever a legend. Look in the sky, my name is written in heaven. Northern Cali, we be showing love. From the Bay to LA, we be ballin'. Northern Cali, we be showing love. From the Bay to LA, we ball out, ball out. Northern Cali, we be showing love. From the Bay to LA, we be ballin'. Northern Cali, we be showing love. From the Bay to LA, we ball out, ball out. Forever legendary, we ready to ball, baby. Forever legendary, let's shoot for the stars, baby. Forever legendary, we ready to ball, baby. Forever legendary, let's shoot for the stars, baby. I live my life like a rock star. Everywhere I go, they know who you are. But when I'm on the road, baby, getting money on the go, baby. I'm legendary like an icon. Got this game on lock like a python. 24 to the hole, baby. You're not knowing now, you know, baby. Northern Cali, we be showing love. From the Bay to LA, we be ballin'. Northern Cali, we be showing love. From the Bay to LA, we ball out, ball out. Northern Cali, we be showing love. From the Bay to LA, we be ballin'. Northern Cali, we be showing love. from the Bay to LA. We ball out, ball out.
Forever legendary. We ready to ball, baby. Forever legendary.
Let's shoot for the stars, baby.
Forever legendary.
We ready to ball,
baby. Forever legendary.
Let's shoot for the stars, baby. I slide through when it's crunch time. Game winner, fourth quarter clutch time. Man, I'm so legendary. My game so pretty. Crossover, Holly Berry. Come see me in the battlefield. Mama mentality, shoot to kill. I shine like my chain. Throw my jersey on, keep it lit, Laker game.
Forever legendary. We ready to ball,
Ready
baby.
to ball.
Forever legendary.
Let's shoot for the stars, baby.
Forever legendary.
We ready to ball,
baby. Forever legendary.
Let's shoot for the stars, baby. Let's shoot for the stars, yeah.
1, 2, 3, Kobe.
Guns on down, all the way down. Put the guns on down. Ooh, put them guns on down, all the way down. Ooh, put them guns on down. Put the guns on down. Put them down. It's just imagine if we didn't, but if we ain't had to pop the trunk and had to strap it up, if we ain't had to cock along with the safety up, but instead shot each other with just hella love, that would be hella dope. I mean, like hella clean. If I be a member of the Unite team, breaking barriers of gun violence, stand up and through these streets and show the world what Black Lives Matters really means. Now put your hands up and don't put them down. Put your fists in the air, stand tall and proud. From the North Bay to the East Bay, to the South Bay, down the new click-clack gang, spraying truth over crowd. It's in your blood, it's in your DNA. The reign over land, the rule all states. The brother let you come and breathe, nothing but great. We good with that part, we just gotta get straight. Be a ruler on the throne, young man, know your worth. It's a fight to be right, we were born in the curse. You were chosen to protect the worst, come the worst. Remember, this is your world, you inherit this earth. Put the guns on down. Ooh, put them guns on down, all the way down. Ooh, put them guns on down. Put the guns on down. Put them down.
Pick the mic up, go and put the pistols down. Make it figure with the futuristic goes of sound. So much violence in every single part of town. Here to bring you up when they try to break us down. Fallen soldiers die every single day. Goal is to watch our kids thrive, go and play. As I lay, I pray for some better days. Escape the pain from the evil and the fucked up ways. Happen now, nothing but a pure disgrace. Drag us through the mud just because of black race. Makes me sick, leaves me with a bitter taste. Police brutality treats us like garbage waste. Constant madness going against the grain. Trying to make a difference in the world to maintain. Trying to make a difference in the world to maintain. Trying to make a difference in the world to maintain.
Please put the guns on. Please put the guns on. Please put the guns on. Guns on. Guns on down.
Money Mac, Dale Fetty. What's up, y'all? And Mr. Bree. That's how we do it, y'all. Y'all ain't even ready though. Hell nah. Mac, what's up now? Yeah, give it to him. Yeah. These niggas on life support, about to put a plug on them. Speaker in the trunk, bumping dope like a drug runner. Mac, music in my veins, I'm a blood donor. Racks, see them daily like a strip club on a fat. Give it crack, smokes rap, hang these motherfuckers out to dry like a coat rack. Mac wet, got pulled like an abscess. Meet me at the block, I keep numbers like an address. Hustling ass nigga in the bed with a bad bitch. Sleep number 5, 10s, 20s in that mattress. Whole life's a crapshoot. Hell yeah, I'm gambling. Bet it all on black student body up and grambling. DJ sampling, rappers just biting. Bitches in my pocket out of gas, try to siphon. Touch more keys than Sean Ross on the Triton. Heavyweight, iron on the mic like Tyson.
My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. So I gotta do what I gotta do. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. So I gotta do what I gotta do.
I'm old school, like rockin' bells and LLs, dropping tail short dogs, 7-5 girls, step into my world, MCs and DJs, Rick Lee's and freeways, JC's, it's all day, smoke weed and serve game, magazine in this prime, but tennis ain't my racket, I'm a menace when I'm rapping, there's no end into this saga, all the other rough, the raw, Tupac, I'm like fuck the world, I do this thing often like fucking your girl, teaching youngsters to be bosses and motivate they sales, I soak the game well and you should do the same, it ain't hard to tell. You better guard your grill, cause the streets is talking and you're the topic. You better guard your grill, cause the streets is talking and you're the topic.
My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. So I gotta do what I gotta do. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. So I gotta do what I gotta do. My music is my motivation, man. It's more than a dream. That's why I do the things I do on a daily, like chase money. It's funny how time passes like sand through an hourglass. Yet I can't never relax, cause I'm back like a relapse. The next day, at it again, I can't stop. Hustling in my blood like clots, stuck on the block. Feeling withdrawals if I stay away like a knot. So I'd rather stay and play while my future I plot. Can you dig it? Nah, if you came, it's good. See, I'm used to getting questioned and misunderstood by my own self, trying to figure out the mistakes that I done made in the past, so I don't duplicate them and waste any more days of my lifespan. Been here from the start, never left like a right hand. Mystery, shining like the light on my nightstand. And fuck getting rich, I want wealth like a white man. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. So I gotta do what I gotta do. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. My music is my motivation. So I gotta do what I gotta do.
This newspaper article that I found. It was from it says here, the Kansas City Journal from Monday, October the 12th, 1896. And the title is Prehistoric Man, the Human Race and Its Dispersions. How long has the earth been peopled? And when and where was the beginning? All right, so we've been doing a lot of research, right? Correlating a lot of things that, America is the true old world. All right, more and more evidence is just going to keep coming out. We're just going to keep finding all these investigations, studies, articles, documented, recorded, historical chronicles, and information, right, that existed that never was taught to us. All right, so this is one of those. All right, so let's see what they have to say in this article. All right, because we are talking about, a lot of Egyptian resemblances here in America. And the truth is that this is the source, this is their origins. And that's why there is some resemblances here to all the old world civilizations. We have all that here, right? It's not just like we're similar to Egyptians or we're similar to the Hindu or all that. It's everything, because this is the source. So from here, it's spread out to the rest of the world. All right, so let's see what they say right here. All right, so I'm just going to belly flop to this part of the article, and it says, after correlating all data that have been made public to the present time, all right, the conclusion is unavoidable. that the oldest civilization was in the Yucatan and Central America. All right, again, the Kansas City Journal in 1896 wrote this. They're telling you that if you really do the research and you start compiling all this information, all this evidence, it's unavoidable, all right, that the oldest civilization was in the Yucatan and Central America. Future discoveries may change this conclusion. It seems that Egypt was first peopled by immigrants from the Yucatan. Say what? It seems that Egypt was first peopled by the immigrants from Yucatan. Space will allow only a few facts that clearly indicate the truth of this assertion. First, the pyramids of Yucatan are some of them much larger than any found in Egypt. All right, much larger than any found in Egypt. That of Cheops, not accepted. All right, and Giza. Second, the pyramids of Egypt bear structural evidence of having been modeled on those of Yucatan, notably of the one at Coloma, which covers 23 acres. Third, the early Egyptians and the Mayas of Yucatan had the same system of reckoning time, but the Mayas developed a system that was far superior. Again, we got that in the Foreign Quarterly Review, right? Far superior or excelled, in which antedates that of Egypt is older than Egypt. All right. Fourth, the Mayas manufactured cement that was of the same material as that of ancient Egypt. Fifth, the architecture of Yucatan is of the same general type as that of an ancient Egypt, but it is finer and seems to have been the model that the Egyptians attempted to imitate. They attempted to imitate our models from here, America. Six, the art of both countries, as displayed in their ceramics and architecture, is of the same type or school, that of Yucatan, being much more highly developed. All right. Again, this was an article written in the Kansas City Journal, Monday, October 12th, 1896. If you want to look it up, prehistoric man. They're telling you straight up in this article back in 1896 that we were the source, we were the cradle of civilization.
I'm here with Mark, and look, he's selling an insane product. He got it on a pre-built Shopify store for only $17. What were you able to do with this product in the store?
So yeah, within the first couple of weeks, we were actually with this instant speaker that we got paired.
All right, we're going to continue here reading another article, this time from the Ancient American Magazine. This is volume 1, issue number 3, and this one's called Stones of Atlantis, all right? But again, these main articles we're going to get to in full-length videos because they're longer articles. We're going to come into this magazine right now to read specific articles for today's video. It says here, Ancient Egyptians of New Mexico, by Barbara Holly Rock. In April 1991, my colleagues and I first viewed the inscription carved on gray limestone atop a narrow valley with about a 1,000-foot drop to the valley floor. The view from the site was immense. We could see both north up the narrowed valley for several miles and south down to the open plain horizon. Access to this site is up the west side of the mountain trail cut by wagon tracks, then across the mountaintop by foot to a narrow ledge facing west. A month later, other members returned to take infrared photographs of the inscription and to make a plastic mold. The inscription is precisely drafted with evenly spaced characters on visible straight lines. The salutation on is left and above the 3-line message. The right of the bottom line is another complex character which I will refer to as the signature. Another complex symbol is below the 3 lines. Since we were then affiliated with Fell's Epigraphic Society, I asked for opinions to the origin and date of the inscription. 3 opinions were offered concerning only its national origin: Hmong, Western Ojibwas, Indian, and Demotic Egyptian. None were offered for the translation or possible date. So real quick, this is some of the inscription right here. You guys can see. All right. Just a photograph. Let me just go back to the article. It says, Gloria Farley gave us a copy of the article, Egyptian and Hmong Clues to a Western American Petroglyph Group. By the late Dr. Paul Cheeseman and David Tomlinson, we learned that the inscription made of 19 different symbols had 10 matches to those shown by Cheeseman and Tomlinson. Therefore, there was 55% probability that our inscription may have the same language base as the human inscriptions. But what was the human's language base? The Western Ojibwa's origin of the inscription was researched and discarded because the Ojibwas originated around the Great Lakes area of Canada, making it doubtful that they were ever ranged from Southern California through the mountains eastward into New Mexico and Colorado. They practiced intermarriage not only with all their neighboring Indian tribes, but also with other races, French trappers. All right, with the who? With the Huguenots, with the French, yeah, Black French. Therefore, their language would be a borrowed mixture from many sources. The Ojibwas, symbols and meanings from William Tompkins' Indian Sign Language made gibberish when applied to our three-line inscription. Since 25% of our petroglyphic symbols were mentioned in Tompkins' book, I discarded this as a national origin source. The third opinion, Demotic Egyptian, has been the best suggestion to determine a meaning and to point to a relevant national source. All of our symbols, 100% of them, were found in the Egyptian language sources that we consulted, okay? This is Egyptian hieroglyphics they're finding here in New Mexico. So then they break down what hieroglyphic writing is here and what time periods and what demotic means and from what Egyptian kingdom it comes from. He says demotic writing originated in northern Egypt and it was used by Herodotus and other Greeks for writing daily documents. So this is what they're finding here, okay? They're giving you the time frame of this possible Egyptian inscription here in New Mexico. Again, things they never tell us. Here they are right here. And you guys can do the comparison on your own. But yeah, this is a supposed translation, right? Greetings, hail integrity, village, time to live, as signposts of death by last inundation had broken the authority from crescent moon to crescent moon for a month, to be in front of or lead a return to cut the clouds above, at the end time to live. Offerings and sacrifices are the way one's love. Seems like sign about a flood and survival. All the sacred mysteries among the Mayas and the Quiches 11,500 years ago. Their relation to the sacred mysteries of Egypt, Greece, Chaldea, and India. It says here Freemasonry in times anterior to the Temple of Solomon. Notwithstanding such rebuffs, I made up my mind to present to American readers some of the historical facts that have been brought to light by deciphering the bas reliefs and mural inscriptions by means of the ancient hieratic Maya alphabet discovered by me. All right, and check this out. This is a big one right here. Let me just show you this one. All right, so you got on one side it says, on the left, it says ancient Maya hieratic alphabet according to mural inscriptions, and to the right is Egyptian hieratic alphabet according to Messrs. Champollion, Lejeune, de Brunsen. All right, so they're talking about, at least the Egyptian ones, they're verified from primary sources that they're using at that time. And this is what he's finding and what they're finding in the Americas on the left. And you can see the resemblances, right? All right, so yeah, it has a lot of similar, you see the symbols here, and the letter that it associates to, supposedly. All right, are we just talking about the ancient pictograph? So again, the Foreign Quarterly Review, volume 18, and this was written in 1837. These facts being admitted or established, the question is, do the monuments of New Spain, as displayed in the illustrations of the works under review, correspond with three unvarying and identifying characteristics? Our reply is yes, they correspond entirely. Some of the pyramids, as we have said, are larger than those of Egypt. Some of them are different in their model, having somewhat of an Indian character, bearing strong affinity to pyramidal temples still extant in Japan. And it says, see the works of Sir Thomas Raffles for that. The Pyramid of Cholula exhibits a most singular identity with the model of the temples of Belus. Okay, so Again, the Pyramid of Cholula exhibits a most singularly identity with the model of the temples of Belus, Belus Jupiter, Bel, Tower of Babel, described by Herodotus, and which by many scholars has been considered to be the scriptural Tower of Babel.
Did you know that you could get $50,000 to over $150,000 of investment capital at zero?
Right? It consists of the 8 graduated square towers, each rising above the other, and terminating in a topmost sanctuary, dedicated apparently to the same solar god, but there are more singular analogies between the forms of some of the pyramids of New Spain and some of the most ancient pyramids of Egypt.
I don't think you even knew existed. It goes against everything Manifest Destiny teaches about Native Americans. And I want you to know this part of our history because people erased it. And we'll get to that later on in the program. Erased it intentionally. Erased it intentionally. That's an important part of it.
Most Americans have no idea that ancient cities with advanced architectures once dotted the ancient North American landscape. Director Kennedy has since coined a name for such places.
What I call hidden cities. I use the term because these were very big places. There were more people, we now know, in Cahokia, across from St. Louis, than there were in London or Rome.
For more than 50 years, evidence of humans in America much older than 13,400 years ago was simply dismissed. And anybody who attempted to go that way would not get research funding and would be ostracized by their colleagues and literally have their lives ruined. And this is most unfortunate, and it's not how science should proceed, because we now know that human beings have been in the Americas for tens of thousands of years before 13,400 years ago. In fact, the latest evidence puts them back more than 130,000 years in the Americas. And what that says to me is, if they were saying before that humans didn't come until 13,400 years ago and nobody should look, nobody should dig deeper, now we know they were there 130,000 years ago. That's more than 100,000 years of the American story that has not been told entirely because of the dogmatism of archaeology. And now reluctantly they're having to accept, all of the institutions are accepting, well, we're sorry, we got it wrong. But it's not just a matter of getting it wrong. It's a grave responsibility to be the profession that interprets the prehistory of humanity to the modern world. And it's a betrayal of that responsibility to be so dogmatic and to refuse to consider any possibility which doesn't fit with one's preconceived notions. And, you know, the net result is that we're left with 100,000 years of North American prehistory, which has been completely unstudied, and they're only now beginning to study it. And the evidence that's coming out, both in North America and South America, is absolutely stunning.
I want you to take a look at this. This is going to blow your mind. See this here? First, let me show you the Great Pyramid of Giza. You've seen this? One side of the Great Pyramid of Giza. If you measure it, it is from the bottom to the apex, 606 feet. That's important. That's an ancient unit of measurement. It's referred to as the stade. Now I want to show you this. These are the Newark earthworks. They're here in Ohio. Yes, Ohio. The earthworks are made, they're structures that are made now of earth that it has been built up from the ground in a perfect circle. Here it is, a perfect circle and a perfect octagon. But they were built by the ancient Hopewell civilization. They date back from 300 BC to 400 AD. So let's look at these structures here. Bring this up. I want to show you something. If you square the inside of the octagon, here's a square and here's a square. If you square it, this is what surveyors do when they're measuring. They square the circle and then they divide that area into 4 equal parts or cubes. And then you find that each cube is made up of 606 feet, 606 feet, 606 feet, 606 feet, 606. It's made up of stades, exactly the same. Now, if that's not interesting enough,
Of this, it says here extinct races, remarkable discoveries of buried cities in the Republic of Mexico. Mexico, August 2nd. Explorers in the state of Chiapas confirmed the reported remarkable discoveries of archaeological matter. Roads built by prehistoric inhabitants were found in the ruins of cities with an estimated total population of 30 million were discovered. The houses are of a pyramidal form of architecture and indicate a high degree of scientific attainment. The carved male and female figures dug up are plainly of Egyptian style. Egyptian style, all right? The locality was undoubtedly densely populated. It was densely populated. Egyptian, so-called Egyptian style. This is the original, okay? This is where the style originated. They copied us. 30 million inhabitants, these prehistoric roads. It's all being found today with their LiDAR technology. They're finding all this stuff that was reported in the 1800s today with their LiDAR technology in the forest. Now we're going to take a look at this book, these writings. The book is called The Mound Builders, Their Works and Relics by Stephen D. Pete, PhD. It says member of an antiquarian society, the American Antiquarian Society, American Oriental Society, fellow of American Association of Advanced Sciences, member of Victoria Institute, also of Société de Ethnographie, core member of Numismatic Society of New York, Historical Societies of Virginia, Wisconsin, Rhode Island, Davenport, Academy of Sciences, also editor of American Antiquarian and Oriental Journal. All right, so, this guy don't play. All right, now it says here, right? This is chapter 1, right? I just wanted to point this out right away, but they're letting you know. Remember his credentials, right? It says the Mound Builders, chapter 1, right? The mysterious races, the mysterious, you're mysterious. My story, not his story, right? Now you're mysterious because it's your story. America is called the New World, and so it is, for it is newly discovered. Our claim, however, is that America is also an old world, all right? It's also not an old world, it is the true old world. It is the old world, not also an old world. Dodge the hijack, ain't nothing over there on that other side old. It's recent and compares well with other countries in this respect. All right, letting you know right away in chapter 1, right? The Mound Builders, right? The guy, you saw his credentials, all the societies he's a part of. He's letting you know straight up that, yo, don't get it confused. Don't get it confused. America's also an old world and it compares well with other countries. He's talking about Egypt, Babylon, Iraq, all those places. All those places. China, India, or Hindustan, right? As it was called. It compares very well. We invite our readers into the field of American antiquities and will call attention to the prehistoric tokens and remains which are so numerous. So many prehistoric tokens here and remains. We are all well assured that there are many things which will interest them and that much may be learned from the study of American archaeology. It says the number of these ancient villages is well calculated to excite surprise. 10,000 burial mounds or tombs were found in the single state of Ohio, just in Ohio. All right, why are we talking about mounds? Just in Ohio. Just in Ohio, I'm telling you, there's a lot of origin stories coming out of Ohio. A lot of tribes originated there or came out of there. All right, we're going to dig into that. All right, so 10,000 burial mounds or tombs were found in Ohio and also 1,000 or 1,500 enclosures in the same state. Nor is their magnitude less a matter of surprise than their number. Their magnitude. It's not even just that there's a lot of them, it's their magnitude too, how they were built. 20 miles of embankment constitute one series of works. 20 miles of embankment? 20 miles. Can you even picture that? Can you picture building a mound, like a wall, like for 20 miles long? That's a lot of work. All right.
I paid off $495,000 in debt within 18 months using what I now call my success path. And I turned this system into a book that anyone can get immediately by clicking the link below. It's free and you can have it completely read in less than one day. If you want it, it's yours. By the way, my name is Jeff Lerner, and I used to make between $20,000 and $40,000 a year as a jazz musician.
Walls sometimes 30 feet in height, walls sometimes 30 feet in height, and enclosing from 50 to 400 acres, surrounding their fortifications. All right, man, huge walls, right? They used to build huge 30 feet high in the man, 20 miles embankments and 30 feet walls. All right, these are not savages, enclosing from 50 to 400 acres, surrounding their fortifications. Pyramids, pyramids, 100 feet in height, pyramids 100 feet in height, covering 16 acres of ground, 16 acres of pyramids. All right, 16 acres of pyramids. All right, we're reading a primary source here. All right, divided into wide terraces, 300 feet long and 50 feet wide, varying with the pyramids of vying with the pyramids of Egypt. All right, vying. All right, so he said vying with the pyramids of Egypt. So what does vying mean? We're in the Cambridge Dictionary, and it says it's the present particle of vie, V-I-E. So let's go to that. All right, so it says vie. All right, to compete with other people to achieve or get something. To achieve, you compete. They compete with the pyramids of Egypt. All right, they compete with the pyramids of Egypt. All right, vying with the pyramids of Egypt, form the foundations for their great houses. All right, mounds form their lookout stations, 60 and 90 feet in height. The variety of their works was great, and their distribution widespread. In one part of this wide domain, there were game drives, in which the animals hunted were erected in effigy. In another part were garden beds, covering hundreds of acres, garden beds covering hundreds of acres, and presenting many curious patterns. In another, large groups and lines of burial mounds. In another, many circles and fort rings. In another, lodge circles and hut rings. In another, village circles and dance rings, interspersed with temple platforms. You hear all this? You hear all this building and engineering. All right, how there was layout, these layouts, how they had these whole towns and cities, metropolises. All right, in this area, the Mississippi Valley, and all around these mountains. So it's not just that you find one little mountain here; it's like a whole complex, town, city. Like how they were building everything. In another, extensive enclosures with domiciliary platforms. In another, groups of pyramids. In another, groups of pyramids interspersed with fish ponds, surrounded by earth walls. Fish ponds, they were growing fish around their pyramids. You hear this? Surrounded by earth walls. Everywhere was manifest a wonderful adaptation of the works to the soil and scenery and physical surroundings. Can you imagine just seeing that? All right, so now we're in this book. All right, it's called Queen Mu, right? And the Egyptian Sphinx by Augustus Le Plongeon, MD. All right, now the Maya, they call their country Mayak. That is the land first emerged from the bottom of the deep, the country of the Shud. And the Egyptians, according to Herodotus, boasted that their ancestors in the lands of the West, all right, were the oldest men on earth. All right, quote Herodotus. Go research that. If the opinion of Leo Humphrey and a host of modern geologists regarding the priority of America's antiquity be correct, what right have we to gainsay the assertion of the Mayas and of the Egyptians in claiming likewise priority for their people and their country? Now it says here, in ages long lost in the abyss of time, when Aryan colonists had not yet established their first settlements on the banks of the river Saraswati in the Punjab, and the primitive Egyptian settlers in the valley of the Nile did not fancy. All right, so they're telling you before any Hindu people or any people in Hindustan or anybody in the valley of the Nile or right there on the other side of Egypt or any Egyptian wherever Egypt was, they're saying that there was nobody there. There was not a fancy. Even their most hopeful daydreams that their descendants would become the great people whose civilization was to be the cradle of that of Europe, there existed on the western continent a nation, the Maya, that had attained to a high degree of culture and arts and sciences, all right? So before they could even daydream, all right? Before them, before the Hindus, before the Egyptians, there existed on the western continent the Mayas. Like the English of today, the Mayas sent colonists all over the earth, all right? The Mayas colonized the earth, okay? Again, the Mayas colonized the earth, including Africa. These carried with them the language, traditions, the architecture, astronomy, cosmogony, and other sciences, in a word, the civilization of their mother country. Brought civilization, all right? It is this civilization that furnishes us with the means of ascertaining the role played by them in the universal history of the world. The history of the world. We find vestiges of it and of their language in all historical nations of antiquity in Asia, Africa, and Europe, speaking the mother tongue they brought from over here, because the mother tongue is from over here. It is easy to follow their tracks across the Pacific to India. Very easy. By the imprint of their hands dipped in a red liquid and pressed against the walls of temples and caves and other places looked upon as sacred, to implore the benison of the gods, also by their name, Maya, given to the banana tree, symbol of their country, the banana tree, all right? That's from here, whose broad leaves is yet a token of hospitality among the natives of the islands, then along the shores of the Indian Ocean and those of the Persian Gulf to the mouth of the Euphrates, up that river to Babylon, then renowned city of the sun, then across the Syrian desert to the valley of the Nile, where they finally settled and gave the name of their mother country to a district of Nubia, calling it Mayu or Mayo, Mayu or Mayo. All right, after becoming firmly established in Egypt, they sent colonists to Syria. These reached as far north as Mount Taurus, founding on their way settlements along the coast of the Mediterranean in Sudan, Tyre, the valley of the Orontes, and again on the banks of the Euphrates to the north of Babylon and Mesopotamia. All right. We're in this book real quick. It says views of ancient monuments in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan by F. Catherwood Art. It says here the Mexican temples were called Teocalli. They're talking about the pyramids, the Teocallis, or houses of God. Remember that Memphis, Egypt, Aegyptus means house of Ptah or house of Ptah or temple of Ptah, right? House of God. Same thing. And the Mexican temples were called Teocallis, houses of God, and were very numerous. There were several hundreds in each of the principal cities, several hundreds, many of them doubtless very humble edifices. They were solid masses of earth, brick, or stone, and in their forms somewhat resembled the pyramidal structures of ancient Egypt. And we continue, says here, at Ocosingo. Ocosingo is actually an archaeological site, it's a pyramid, Ocosingo pyramid. I'm gonna show you how complex, how big it is, how massive this construction is. It says at Ocosingo, we met with the arch before alluded to, with the usual accompaniments of mounds and terraces, and an ornament over one of the doorways, not unlike the winged globe of Egypt. Just like the wind globe of Egypt in the archway, the same symbol found in Ocosingo. All right, so first of all, what is the wind globe of Egypt, right? The globe and the wind, right? We see that in the doorways and a lot of these so-called temples or pyramids, right, in Egypt, right? The globe and the wings. Now, Ocosingo, right? Ocosingo. Let me show you how complex this is, all right? Hold up, all right? This is Ocosingo right here. Ocosingo, this whole thing is one structure, one big pyramid. Let me show you. Right, Ocosingo. Very big. Ocosingo. That's probably one of their ball courts and ceremonial places. Yeah, Ocosingo's huge. I'm gonna get like a diagram for you guys. All right, that. Here's another one. Ocosingo's huge. It's one big complex. So he's saying they found a globe, a winged globe in one of the archways, just like in ancient Egypt. In this site right here that we never heard of. How big it is. Look at that. That's one big monument right here, all the way from the bottom. Probably, I think actually from this over here, all of it stone, brick, all the way to the top. It doesn't start right here. This whole thing is together. That's just one complex. Aside from it, up in front of it is other uh, buildings. All right, here's a good one. It says picture of Tonina Mayan ruins and archaeological site right here. Single pyramid. You see the whole thing. This whole thing, even in the bottom, it's all brick. It's all stone, masonry, all the way to the top. It's very complex. All right, Single. Very complex. See from the top, probably you can see all that. Look at this place, beautiful, right? Mokosingo, where they found a winged globe, an Egyptian winged globe. So here's some of the what's found on the walls, some of the art. Yeah, it's pretty big, it's pretty massive, doesn't compare to things in Africa. There's some of the parts and some of the parts, and look at all these different rooms and stuff. Another view of it right here. It's massive.
Biore blemish patches. Absorb pus and oil for visible results.
From the scholarly journal, The Foreign Quarterly Review, Volume 18, published in London in 1837. The first and strongest conviction which will flash on the mind of every ripe antiquarian while surveying the long series of Mexican and Toltecan monuments preserved in the various works to which we have briefly called attention, is the similarity which the ancient monuments of New Spain bear to the monumental records of ancient Egypt. Again, so their main purpose to writing this article, to doing this work, all right, is to show you, right, to show the antiquarian or somebody who likes history, who actually researches these things, is to call to the attention the similarity which these ancient monuments of New Spain, right, Mexico, bear to the monumental records of ancient Egypt. All right, similarity. Where is the true old world? While surveying them, the glance falls with familiar recognition on similar graduated pyramids, on similar marks of the same primeval Ophite worship, on vestiges of the same triune and solar deity, on planispheres and temples, which, though characterized by some distinctions entirely American, are not less worthy of the notice of the Egyptian antiquarian, on relics again of palaces at once noble in their architecture and beautiful in their proportions and decorations, on monuments sepulchral, domestic, religious, or warlike, which deserve the designation of Cyclopean as much as any that are now extant in Italy or Greece. Now, we can, try to guess what they mean by Cyclopean, but he's going to mention how these giant this newspaper article that I found. It was from it says here, the Kansas City Journal, from Monday, October the 12th, 1896. And the title is Prehistoric Man, the Human Race and Its Dispersions. How long has the earth been peopled? And when and where was the beginning? All right, so we've been doing a lot of research, right? Correlating a lot of things that, America is the true old world. All right, more and more evidence is just going to keep coming out. We're just going to keep finding all these investigations, studies, articles, documented, recorded, historical chronicles, and information right? That existed, that never was taught to us, all right? So this is one of those, all right? So let's see what they have to say in this article, all right? Because we are talking about, you know, a lot of Egyptian resemblances here in America. And the truth is that this is the source, this is their origins. And that's why there is some resemblances here to all the old world civilizations. You know, we have all that here, right? It's not just like we're similar to Egyptians or we're similar to you know, the Hindu or all that. It's everything, because this is the source. So from here it's spread out to the rest of the world. All right, so let's see what they say right here. All right, so I'm just going to belly flop to this part of the article, and it says, after correlating all data that have been made public to the present time, all right, the conclusion is unavoidable that the oldest civilization was in the Yucatan and Central America. All right, again, the Kansas City Journal in 1896 wrote this. They're telling you that if you really do the research and you start compiling all this information, all this evidence, it's unavoidable, all right, that the oldest civilization was in the Yucatan and Central America. Future discoveries may change this conclusion. It seems that Egypt was first peopled by immigrants from the Yucatan. Say what? It seems that Egypt was first peopled by the immigrants from Yucatan. Space will allow only a few facts that clearly indicate the truth of this assertion. First, the pyramids of Yucatan are some of them much larger than any found in Egypt. All right, much larger than any found in Egypt. That of Cheops, not accepted. All right, and Giza. Second, the pyramids of Egypt bear structural evidence of having been modeled on those of Yucatan, notably of the one at Coloma, which covers 23 acres. Third, the early Egyptians and the Mayas of Yucatan had the same system of reckoning time, but the Mayas developed a system that was far superior. Again, we got that in the Foreign Quarterly Review, right? Far superior or excelled, in which antedates that of Egypt is older than Egypt, all right? Fourth, the Mayas manufactured cement that was of the same material as that of ancient Egypt. Fifth, the architecture of Yucatan is of the same general type as that of an ancient Egypt, but it is finer and seems to have been the model that the Egyptians attempted to imitate. They attempted to imitate our models from here, America. Six, the art of both countries, as displayed in their ceramics and architecture, is of the same type or school, that of Yucatan, being much more highly developed. All right, again, this was an article written in the Kansas City Journal, Monday, October 12th, 1896. If you want to look it up, Prehistoric Man, they're telling you straight up in this article back in 1896 that we were the source, we were the cradle of civilization.
What was the process of actually putting this all together?
Many hours of finding the right camera angles and watching it. The first trouble started just after 1 o'clock.
45 pages, here it is right here.
Somber day for the country.
The founder of the Oath Keepers militia group is headed to prison for more than 18 years.
His lawyers didn't have this video. The video we're watching right now, his own lawyers did not have. There was a big question of what did the people do who actually did enter the building.
This is where we picked it up with the security footage that is new. At this point, the story dramatically changes.
The New Jersey man who assaulted a Capitol police officer on January 6th has been sentenced.
So this was withheld.
This was not shown to the defense.
That could be considered exculpatory evidence. This doesn't seem like what a lot of the media is showing.
It's going to change narratives no matter what your political perspective is. What we're after is the truth.
Hey, guys. Hey. Time's running out, folks. You got to click this link below, man.
All right, we're going to continue here reading another article, this time from the Ancient American Magazine. This is volume 1, issue number 3, and this one's called Stones of Atlantis, all right? But again, these main articles we're going to get to in full-length videos because they're longer articles. We're going to come into this magazine right now to read specific articles for today's video. It says here, Ancient Egyptians of New Mexico, by Barbara Holly Rock. In April 1991, my colleagues and I first viewed the inscription carved on gray limestone atop a narrow valley with about a 1,000-foot drop to the valley floor. The view from the side was immense. We could see both north up the narrowed valley for several miles and south down to the open plain horizon. Access to this side is up the west side of the mountain trail cut by wagon tracks, then across the mountaintop by foot to a narrow ledge facing west. A month later, other members returned to take infrared photographs of the inscription and to make a plastic mold. The inscription is precisely drafted with evenly spaced characters on visible straight lines. The salutation on is left and above the 3-line message. The right of the bottom line is another complex character which I will refer to as the signature. Another complex symbol is below the 3 lines. Since we were then affiliated with Fell's Epigraphic Society, I asked for opinions to the origin and date of the inscription. 3 opinions were offered concerning only its national origin: Hmong, Western Ojibwas, Indian, and Demotic Egyptian. None were offered for the translation or possible date. So real quick, this is some of the inscription right here. You guys can see. All right, just a photograph. Let me just go back to the article. It says, Gloria Farley gave us a copy of the article, Egyptian and Homunculus to a Western American petroglyph group. By the late Dr. Paul Cheeseman and David Tomlinson, we learned that the inscription made of 19 different symbols had 10 matches to those shown by Cheeseman and Tomlinson. Therefore, there was 55% probability that our inscription may have the same language base as the Hmong inscriptions. But what was the Hmong's language base? The Western Ojibwa's origin of the inscription was researched and discarded because the Ojibwas originated around the Great Lakes area of Canada, making it doubtful that they were ever ranged from Southern California through the mountains eastward into New Mexico and Colorado. They practiced intermarriage not only with all their neighboring Indian tribes, but also with other races, French trappers, all right? With the who? With the Huguenots? With the French, yeah, Black French. Therefore, their language would be a borrowed mixture from many sources. The Ojibwas, symbols and meanings from William Tompkins' Indian Sign Language made gibberish when applied to our 3-line inscription. Since 25% of our petroglyphic symbols were mentioned in Tompkins' book, I discarded this as a national origin source. The third opinion, Demotic Egyptian, has been the best suggestion to determine a meaning and to point to a relevant national source. All of our symbols, 100% of them, were found in the Egyptian language sources that we consulted, okay? This is Egyptian hieroglyphics they're finding here in New Mexico. So then they break down what hieroglyphic writing is here and what time periods and what demotic means and from what Egyptian kingdom it comes from. He says demotic writing originated in northern Egypt, and it was used by Herodotus and other Greeks for writing daily documents. So this is what they're finding here, okay? They're giving you the time frame of this possible Egyptian inscription here in New Mexico. Again, things they never tell us. Here they are right here. And you guys can do the comparison on your own. But yeah, this is a supposed translation, right? Greetings, hail integrity, village, time to live, as signposts of death by last inundation had broken the authority from crescent moon to crescent moon for a month, to be in front of or lead a return to cut the clouds above, at the end time to live. Offerings and sacrifices are the way one's love. Seems like sign about a flood and survival. All the sacred mysteries among the Mayas and the Quiches 11,500 years ago. Their relation to the sacred mysteries of Egypt, Greece, Chaldea, and India. It says here Freemasonry in times anterior to the Temple of Solomon. Notwithstanding such rebuffs, I made up my mind to present to American readers some of the historical facts that have been brought to light by deciphering the bas reliefs and mural inscriptions by means of the ancient hieratic Maya alphabet discovered by me. All right, and check this out. This is a big one right here. Let me just show you this one. All right, so you got on one side it says on the left it says ancient Maya hieratic alphabet according to mural inscriptions, and to the right is Egyptian hieratic alphabet according to Messrs. Champollion Lejeune de Brunsen. All right, so they're talking about, at least the Egyptian ones, they're verified from primary sources that they're using at that time. And this is what he's finding and what they're finding in the Americas on the left, and you can see the resemblances, right? All right, so yeah, it has a lot of similar. You see the symbols here, and the letter that it associates to, supposedly. All right, are we just talking about the ancient Paleo pictograph? So again, the Foreign Quarterly Review, Volume 18, and this was written in 1837. These facts being admitted or established, the question is, do the monuments of New Spain, as displayed in the illustrations of the works under review, correspond with three unvarying and identifying characteristics? Our reply is yes, they correspond entirely. Some of the pyramids, as we have said, are larger than those of Egypt. Some of them are different in their model, having somewhat of an Indian character, bearing strong affinity to pyramidal temples still extant in Japan. And it says, see the works of Sir Thomas Raffles for that. The Pyramid of Cholula exhibits a most singular identity with the model of the temples of Belus. Okay, so again, the Pyramid of Cholula exhibits a most singular identity with the model of the temples of Belus. Belus Jupiter, Bel, Tower of Babel, described by Herodotus, and which by many scholars has been considered to be the scriptural Tower of Babel.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not with physical products. It's Amazon's other company, Audible. Audible pays me $8,000 to $10,000 every single month in passive income, and I'm not the only one. People like Katrina and Carla, Elena, Renee, all making thousands of dollars a month in passive